Hello, good morning and welcome to Sewing Street this Sewing Sunday morning. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. Bit damp and drizzly today, isn't it? My name's Debbie Shaw and I'm going to be with you for the next 3 hours live, and then we've got another couple of hours pre-recorded sewing after that, so stick around if you can for the rest of the morning. We've got some new things for you. We've got some great bargains. We've got a kit coming up the next hour. We've got some new tools, we've got some new scissors, and we've got fabrics in the third hour as well. And I'm going to do a couple of demos. I came in this morning, I don't know what to do. What should we do? I'm going to do a bag in this one. If you've got any requests for the third hour, come and let me know. I'm going to be on, well, I am on Facebook, so on the Sewing Street Facebook page. I'm not on the fans one, I'm on the Sewing Street page. So if you want to send a request or a question or a comment or a good morning team or whatever you'd like to say, it would be lovely to hear from you this morning. Right, so if you're up bright and early on a weekday or a weekend morning, we bring you a special offer to say thank you for joining us at 8 o'clock. And I don't think our special offer today is going to be lasting very long. Basically, this is an early bird, that's what we're calling it, and we keep the price low for as long as we have the stock or until the end of the day. And I think when you see what you're getting and what you're getting for your money, I don't think this is going to be lasting very long. I shall multi-order this because we are looking at a huge amount of Osnabruck fabric. In fact, you've got 1.5 meters there altogether of natural undyed seeded cotton. It's a little bit finer than a calico, but at this kind of price, that's £6.50 for 1.5 meters. You can use this instead of calico because I think it's going to be cheaper. You are going to use this. If you are a dressmaker, you're going to be making toiles. This is fantastic toile fabric. It's also great lining fabric. It's the kind of fabric that if things go horribly wrong, if you're practicing something for the first time, it doesn't really matter because it's only £6.50 for all of this. Was that £2.50 a metre? £2.22 for a half metre. That's just ridiculous, actually, isn't it? £2.16 for half a metre. You wouldn't get a fat quarter for £2.16, would you? Whoa! Now, these are pre-cut, so don't think you're going to be making 90 by 90 curtains out of them. You'd have to piece them together. They will come to you in 1.5 metre bundles. Do you know what I like about it? This is the stage of the fabric before it would normally go on to the grading and the dyeing and all of that kind of thing. So this is natural and it's unbleached. And the little flecks that you see in there are actually part of the cotton seed pods. And I love that organic kind of feeling. I think it's quite rustic. It is quite a soft fabric. Sometimes with calicos and these type of unbleached cottons, they can be very scratchy. I could wear this as a shirt. It is actually very soft. It's not just, it's not just the linings and the toiles. This is something that you can really use for your projects as well. And we do have, over 10% of the stock sold out already. We had hundreds. It does go very well. We'll give you the details later on of other things coming up, but with other natural, organic type of fibres. And particularly if you have burlaps, if you have hessians, these just go so well together. I'm going to make a bag out of these later on, a French-inspired one. But if you're using this, I don't know, just as bindings, it's such a really, really useful fabric. This is something that I'd buy by the bolt given half a chance because I use so much of it. Particularly for bag making because it's a really strong, sturdy look. But what kind of look do you have in your kitchen? No reason why you can't be making oven gloves and tea cozies out of things like this. It could be a cover for your toaster or your Kenwood chef or any other kind of chef you have. You could be making aprons out of this. It's perfect for aprons. It'll 30-degree wash and it'll come up perfectly and it's not going to shrink in the wash. You can dye it. This is unbleached, so you can add colour to it if you wanted it to be a particular colour. If you wanted a plain red to go with these, for instance, dye it that plain red. It's 100% cotton. And again, I'm going to go on and on about that price until it sells out. Wherever do you buy, 20% gone, wherever do you buy any kind of fabric for £2.16 for half a metre? It's so so low in price. But you know, with calicos, again, this isn't a calico, it's an Osnabruck. I don't know why, but it is. They can be really, really difficult to iron, which is fine because normally you use them for the twirls, for the throwaway things. But this isn't. It's got, well, you can see the drape. It's got a really lovely handle to it. So if you were going to wear, I wouldn't make a skirt or trousers. I don't think it's going to be sturdy enough for that, but you could certainly make a shirt out of this. I tell you what would look nice. You know those the aprons that have the crossover backs with lots of pockets on them? How many aprons could you make out of? You could make two, I'm sure, full-size aprons. Maybe one with a crossover back. But if you're making half aprons, you know, if you're making to sell, maybe we should do an apron instead of a bag. Should we do an apron? Because I'm always doing bags, aren't I? As soon as I see a fabric, I'm thinking, what kind of bag could I make out of that? You could do 4 half aprons out of this. So if you're sewing things ready for your craft stall, I'm reckoning 4 of those. What's £6.50 divided by 4? Oh, let me just work that out in my head. That would be, it doesn't normally take me this long, £1.62. And then we'll have a pocket on the front in a contrast fabric, like that, a bit bigger than that maybe. So that would go like that. So there's your pocket in the middle. So maybe add another couple of pounds for a fat quarter to go on there. No, not a couple of pounds, is it? Maybe add another £1.50 for a fat quarter to go on the front. Then all you're going to need is the binding. In fact, use the same as this because it's really wide as well. So you can make a strap out of that, and then you've got an apron that you could probably sell for £15. And it's cost you under £4 to make. And they're quick to make as well. So if you want to fill up a stall and you don't have much time, then start on it now. Just see how wide that is. See how wide. Right, I think we are 1 metre wide on that one. I'll measure that. It's not quite 112, looks like 1 metre. Oh, we've got 1 metre stick. Get us. 40% of the stock sold out now. Right. Oh no, it's wider than 1 metre. It is, maybe it is 112. It's 118, so it's just over 1 metre wide. Good yardstick. And 1.5 metres in length as well. So if you're making a full-size apron, you could make one which is lined, and that would be a bit posh, wouldn't it? But you know, an apron for £6.50, you couldn't buy it. Or you could make 2, and I reckon, I mean, that's almost down, you can't see that, but it's almost down to my ankles. So when we're barbecuing, when we're allowed to have people round that are a bit closer than 2 metres and more than 6 of you, how about making your own barbecue apron? Oh, I'll tell you what else you could make when we're thinking of outside. It's a strong, sturdy fabric, so you can be making cushion covers for your garden furniture. It'll go in the wash really easily, you know, if the dog or the cat jumps up on it. You could cover footstools with it, you could cover your dining room chairs with it, and make cushion covers to match. You could be making table runners for your garden table, for when people come around, and maybe coasters there as well. How about matching bunting? And then you could maybe cut out heart shapes from the red and decorate those and leave it fraying around the edge so you get that really rustic look. And then while you're barbecuing, you're going to need your apron. You might need 2. And then you'll need a tool roll to keep all your barbecue tools in. Then you'll have to have maybe a bottle bag. And you could insulate that, couldn't you? Then you could have a bread basket to put in the middle of the table. Do you know, you're going to need a tea towel. How many of those could you make from this? You can buy as many as you like. Because it's a fantastic offer, we're not limiting this to 1 per person. If you would like to order, you can go to our website, which is sewingstreet.com, or you can order on the phone lines down here, look, which is 0800 001 4433. If you're brand new to us, hello and good morning and welcome along. Nice to have your company this morning. When you go to our website, it will come up jewellery maker. Please don't think you're in the wrong place. We are piggybacking on their website until we get our own really fancy schmancy website that we're going to be getting by the end of the month. It's not going to happen. When we're in our new studios. You will see a video when you log on there. It'll say Jewellery Maker, then Sewing Street. Video of, if you're watching now, me. And underneath there are all of the products that we have for you in the show. So click on the Osnabruck fabric and then you can go through to checkout. When you purchase, you will be charged £3.95 for your postage. That postage is for the whole day. So please don't think, well, I'll put that in my basket because I'll see what's coming up later and add to the basket to make the most of the postage. Please go through to checkout and pay that postage. And then if you want to come back later on and you think, I only want a packet of pins, I'm not paying £3.95 for a packet of pins. You don't have to. It's almost like you pay that one postage first thing in the morning and then you have free postage for the whole of the rest of the day, all the way through until 10 o'clock tonight. And I did mention that we're on Jewellery Maker. If you have a perusal around their website and you order from that website as well, with the same company, it's the same 1 P&P for the whole of the day. And that's not a special offer, that's just what we do. Let's take a look at what's coming up for the rest of the morning this morning. So sewing room tools at 9 o'clock. We've got my quilted beach up wool hanger coming up at 9 o'clock this morning. Really excited about that one because that's one of the projects from my book that you all love so much. So we've put everything together in the kit for you to be able to make it. We've got fabrics featuring Allison Glass Sunprints at 10 o'clock this morning. That's the live shows. Then we move into the repeats with fabulous fabrics at 11 o'clock. And Quilt As You Go, Tory Tote Bag is coming up at 12 o'clock today. Let's have a look at storage. We launched this about a week and a half ago and we're sold out. So we have the last of the 50 of these now remaining. Just trying to open it. It gets a bit flat when it's been packed away. I just want to show you how big this actually is. It doesn't have to be fat quarters. You can keep what you like in here. Maybe something to kind of put under the bed. We've got dividers. I'll tip it up and show you in a second. So we've got dividers that go in here, but you don't have to use them. So this could be just next to it. It's kind of under bed size, isn't it? So if you're storing your knitwear or your knitting, we've got that. So you can quite happily keep your fat quarters nicely organised in there. Doesn't have to be just fat quarters, it can be any kind of fabric. So just fold those up, or again, you can take those out. You've got little bits at the side like that. If you wanted to put something larger in there, like maybe you want to put a box in there like that. Oh, what's in the box? We'll find out in the next hour. Maybe you want to keep your early bird in there and your fusible fleece. Still got plenty of room. Maybe you want to keep your brand new Janome scissors in there, which you've been selling already. Maybe you want to keep your, it's not what you think, in there as well. We'll be taking a look at the seam trimmer later on, and your tools, your fabric slasher. You can put your clover clips in there. Still plenty of room to put my 404s and my 505s. I like to keep my 404s and my 505s tidy, and still plenty of room. And we've got handles on it as well. Right, almost 30% of the stock is sold of this one already. It's kind of an on-trend colour as well, isn't it, with the green? Oh, and we have a see-through lid, so you can see exactly what's inside there, which is good if you're going to go for a few of them, isn't it? So you can identify what's in there. So you can pop that on a shelf and you can see through the window exactly what you have in there. So it's called a fat quarter bag, but I think you'll agree it's a lot more useful than that. And it's a really strong, sturdy bag. Half the stock sold out there. And it's wipe clean as well. It's shower proof, which I think we need today, don't we? Now, I mentioned new scissors. That's going to sell out, by the way, so pronto. That's that. That's for, I was going to make a bag, now we're going to make an apron. These are selling really well already. When you see anything that has a big brand name, you know that you're investing in quality. Whenever anybody asks me for advice on what kind of sewing machine to buy, I say I can't be specific, but if you buy anything, Janome, Elna, Juki, Brother, Toyota, the big names, you know that you're investing in quality and that things are going to last a long time, because those big brands have spent years and years and years building their name up, so they've got a good reputation. If they bring you one item, one pair of scissors that isn't up to scratch, that reputation's shot. So reputations take a long time to achieve and they are very easily destroyed, which is why when you see anything like a pair of scissors that has the name Janome on them, you know that you're investing in a quality pair of scissors. There's lots of quality pairs of scissors out there, lots of different brand names that we just haven't heard of. But you know Janome, a huge brand, in fact, #1 choice in the UK, if they say so themselves. So you know that you've got the quality and the longevity there as well. What we like to do, so Janome have done their bit by bringing you amazing scissors, we like to do that. Isn't if I would say it was $12.99 for these and then it's $24.99 for those, would I think be a little bit more like it, because you can expect to pay an awful lot of money for quality scissors. Important things for scissors, and it is something, again, if you've seen shows that I've done with scissors before, it's really, really important to have a pair of scissors that cut down to the point, which may sound silly, but some of them don't. With some scissors, you've only got the cut kind of in the centre, and then you're doing little choppy bits like this. But if you're cutting tiny pieces of maybe threads, if you're trimming, you want a pair of scissors that right down to the point, you're going to be able to snip those in. So, like that. And these are straight out of the packet. They have not been prepared for the show. Oh, there we go. There we are. Because I have a confidence with Janome. Look, tiny snips. That's what I look for in a pair of scissors. So if I'm snipping into curves, if I'm snipping off corners, or if I'm trimming threads, I want to know that my scissors are sharp all the way down to the point. That is tiny. And I also want to know that I'm going to get a nice long cut. So I don't want to be cutting like this, because then I'm going to get little scissor marks. I want to be able to do a nice long cut and know that those scissors are going to cut right up to the point. And it's the same with the little ones. These are great if you're an embroiderer or a cross stitcher, or if you are, let me have a look, hard angering, maybe, because you can make those tiny, tiny little snips. They're a nice compact size as well, so if you've got a sewing box or your travel kit, those are amazing actually. So these are fresh out of the packet. We only removed the staples this morning, so I hadn't tried them before. But because they're Janome, because they've got that name on them, I'm very confident in saying these are fantastic little sharp snips. Look at those. Oh, I might do my fringe later. I cut it a bit short last time, it's only just grown back. Daughter's home at the moment and she's going to give me a trim later on. Can't even get my nails done till the 10th of July. I know. Sorry, was it 20% of the stock sold out of those? Yeah. So they're really, really busy. Then we have these serrated scissors. Now then, if you're not aware, because they look pretty much the same. Serrated scissors have tiny teeth on them. Are they the serrated ones? Serrated side bent scissors. They're a very fine serration on those, I have to say. Serrated scissors are great if you're cutting fine fabrics or silky fabrics that will slip, because they will hold on to the fabric. So if you are cutting through your fabric, you can actually hold it with them. One big difference between serrated scissors and non-serrated scissors, if you're cutting larger pieces of fabric and you like to go whoosh with your scissors, don't use serrated scissors because they will grab onto your fabric and they won't let you do it. They will jar. So these I would use if I really want to hold onto the fabric. If I'm cutting around corners, if I'm patchworking, I'm using scissors, then I can hold onto this as I'm cutting. So that's the difference. So both equally as useful. I use both serrated and smoothed edge scissors at home. Your serrated are a little bit longer, and you can see they're more angled than the other scissors. They're £9.99 because you get one pair of these. Those are £12.99 for two. So the long angle on those means that you get more of a chop on the ground, so to speak. So for longer pieces of fabric, if you're cutting something like a viscose, which can be very fine and very floppy, and it twists and it pulls and it can be quite difficult, these are a good pair of scissors to use because not only does it grip onto them, you've got a lot of surface area here as you're cutting as well. So you've got a nice angle on those, and they are very comfortable too. Are they right and left? No, they're right-handed scissors. For £9.99. There are so many different types of scissors out there, but you know, they all have a purpose. So I wouldn't go for two of exactly the same, but I would go for a serrated and I would go for a non-serrated, and I would go for some snips, and then you're going to need your pinking shears, and what other scissors have I got? Paper scissors. We don't cut paper with our fabric shears, and we don't prise out staples with applique scissors. Liam, producer upstairs. He didn't know, bless him. A little bit like my husband disappearing down the garden with my best dressmaking shears to cut roofing felt on the shed. Got that one in time before the divorce. Okay, we've got more more scissors. These are all Janome, by the way, and they're all brand new for you today. So these are the sheer sharp side dressmaking shears. That's a lot of scissors, isn't it? Soft and sharp side bent dressmaking shears. There we go. They're dressmaking shears. They've got a very soft, comfortable handle. And I think I was telling you last week, but if you weren't there, these are a nice size. They're 9 inches. So 9 inches is from the bottom of the handle all the way down to the point. It's not the length of the blade. 9 inches is a good length for dressmaking shears. I bought some really big ones, and when I got them home, I love big scissors because I think, I can really chop lots of fabric really quickly. I couldn't actually open my hand wide enough to open the scissors, and it was a complete waste of money because I wasn't making all of the use of the blade, so I sent them back. But with these, I can. So that's a good kind of size for dressmaking. They're also really comfortable and they're easy to use. I think with scissors, unless you're cutting through really, really heavy fabric, and that could be a bit of a strain, it's that motion, I think, that can be a bit of a problem for some people, myself included. As you can see, my knuckles getting fatter. But these are really easy to use. And the angled blade as well means again that you get the maximum cut on your fabric with the minimal of lift. Meaning, as I'm cutting here, obviously the fabric is going to lift, but I don't want it to lift very much, particularly if I'm cutting around a pattern. So I know I've got the maximum amount of fabric on the deck, so to speak. If I was using scissors, I'd be lifting up at this kind of angle, and then you're not going to get an accurate line as you're cutting around your fabric. Oh, those are, oh, have a listen to this. We love this noise. Isn't that nuts? Oh, the crunch. Oh, so again, different reasons for different scissors. I wouldn't go for these and these, to be honest. I think they do the same kind of job. Given a choice of the two, I don't know, these are really, really comfortable. So I'd maybe go for these. And of course, then you've got the serrated ones as well. And £24.99 is an amazing price, I have to say. Have we got any messages yet this morning? Oh, hi, Alan. Is that on Facebook? Oh, I've lost you now, sewing straight. Oh, he's emailed it in. Morning, Alan. How are you today? What have you been sewing with, butterflies? Oh, that's what he's been doing with the butterflies. A natural seeded cotton. He's got some of that as well, and the floral stuff. Alan never stops sewing. And it's really nice to see what you've been doing. That's your take on the apron bag, isn't it? Oh, we've got an apron bag kit coming up tomorrow. If you want to send us any pictures, I actually haven't given you the email address, have I? It's studio@sewingstreet.com. If you'd like to send an email, that's the email address. If you want to go to the Facebook page, it's, oh, morning, Dawn. Dawn's always here, isn't she? Lovely to see you. I love a nice pair of snips and scissors. Looking forward to the beach hut demo later. Fabulous. Jackie, hi Jackie, another regular. Lovely scissors, but can you get some left-handed ones? Do you know, maybe I'll stamp my feet a little bit. We only do one pair of left-handed scissors, don't we? Lefties never get good deals. Right, we're on a mission there, Jackie. We'll see what we can do. Kirsty's got 2 fat quarter bags in the blue colourway, and I love them. You can get so much in them, and they're sturdy too. Morning, Ange in Great Yarmouth. I think that's it for today. I was scrolling through earlier on, and Sarah put a message on Friday saying, new to sewing, what finds the fabric types overwhelming? Poplin, chambray, rayon, double gauze, what are they all? I thought I might cover that in the next Sewing Street Surgery, which is on the 6th of July. Do join me on the 6th of July, because we've got lots of special offers. And we've got, I don't know, not confirmed, TBC, but there may be some giveaways and there may be signed photos, and we may be live for 5 hours. Yeah, because there may be a little bit of celebration going on there. So you should be able to pick up some good deals. I'm saying no more because I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen at the moment, so I'm going to get into big trouble. This is our early bird. And you get twice the amount. 70% of the stock has sold out. This one, we do bring this back as an early bird as often as we can get hold of the stock, to be honest. It's 1.5 meters by 118 centimetres wide, and it's only £6.50 for 1.5 meters of fabric, which is amazing. Right, I was going to make an apron, so let's just do it. We'll do it. Make a bit of space. So we'll do a half apron with a pocket on the front. If you've got any ideas what you want me to make at 10 o'clock, let me know, because I don't know what to make. I don't know what to make. I'm going to make something. Don't know what to make. So studio@sewingstreet.com if you wanted to. That's about right, actually, isn't it? Maybe a bit narrower. If you want to drop an email and let me know. Otherwise on Facebook. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. They've changed it, haven't they? Because I have to keep refreshing and backwards and forwards. And they've done it with my PC as well. I tuned in this morning at 4 o'clock, and it all looked very different. They've kind of updated everything. They don't ask you, they just do it. They just don't ask you. Right, I'm going to chop off the selvage, even though the selvage isn't too much different from the rest of the fabric, because selvages behave in a different way to the rest of the fabric, so always as well to just lop it off. So I'll use the, what is it, creative grade, not omni grade, that's a bit much. Ruler, my Janome cutting mat in grey, and my Alpha rotary cutter. And there we go, so that's gone. And then, shall we line it? We've got enough fabric, haven't we? May as well. So I'll just measure how long I want that to be. About there. It's like a bespoke made to measure, this, isn't it? These are nice projects for beginners. Maybe getting the kids involved in sewing. If you want a quick project, maybe you've got a quilt on the go which has taken an age to finish. In fact, I just want to start and finish something in a day. This is the perfect kind of thing, and it's really useful as well. Right, I shall use my £12.99 Janome scissors and just cut that in half. Looks so, could have used the rotary cutter, but that's probably quicker. And I'm going to round off, maybe it is a bit wide. I'll cut it down a little bit at the side. And then I'll give you some measurements. And that will do. So width-wise, I've cut 26 inches, and depth-wise, I have cut 18 inches, thereabouts. I'm also going to round off the corners. If you have a plate, that would make a good template, but I'm just going to go for it here. Like so. Oh, make that neater there. That's that. And then we're going to have a pocket on one side, well, on the front. So one of those is the lining. Margaret, good morning to you. Margaret's got a question. What is the difference between serrated scissors and pinking shears? Serrated scissors, they will cut a straight line. So just like a normal pair of scissors, you won't notice the difference between a serrated pair of scissors and a non-serrated pair of scissors. The jaggedy bit, on pinking shears, your jaggy bit is, if that's your scissors, if that's your pinking shears, go that way. No, they go that way. So when you cut, you're cutting a diagonal. With serrated scissors, you can barely see that they're serrated, but they're serrated in that direction. So they're designed to grip onto the fabric, stop the scissors slipping, but you get a straight cut. So pinking shears, zigzag cut, great for finishing off seams, stopping things from fraying, or using on decorative fabrics like felt or non-woven fabrics that don't fray. Serrated shears or scissors will cut straight line, so you won't know. You won't know looking at them what the difference is. Should we have a bit of ooh la la on a Sunday morning? We like a bit of frou-frou on a Sunday morning, don't we? This is from a fat quarter pack that we have for you. I think somebody's been sewing. Been going on there. This is the printed and actually getting a pack of 5 of those for £14.99. I'll use a little bit of my Osnabruck as a lining, because I do like a lining on a pocket. And this is a perfect fabric to line with because you're not going to see it. I'm just going to get an ironing mat because that's a little bit creased. And my iron, which I think is on, yes. And then I think we'll have a nice big pocket on the front with a divider. Again, I'm thinking of craft fairs again. It could be your money pocket. Let's make it really big. So my pocket, about that big. I don't want it to go wrap all the way around. So I want it to be about that wide. So I'll go back to the cutting mat because I know I can cut squarer than I can with a pair of scissors. And we'll have it. We've got quite a few different types of cutting mat on the website. I'm snipping this one because that's not straight. And so that is measuring 14.5 inches. I would say 14 normally. And we'll have it 10 inches deep, which is about there. And then I'll need to cut another piece for the pocket lining to exactly the same size. And I'm going to round the corners of the pocket as well so that it matches the actual apron. There we go. So I'm just using that as a template to put around it. Or do you know what I think we're going to do? I think we might have a little bit of red piping or red binding across the top of the pocket as well, because that would finish it off very nicely, wouldn't it? So that's that. And then we'll also, while I'm cutting, we'll also need a piece to go around the waist. That'll do. All right, with the early bird, 80% of the stock is sold out. And I think the rest of the 20%, you're sitting with it in your baskets. Please, can you check out of your baskets? Because if somebody else comes along and goes through to complete payment before you get there, they'll pinch it out your basket. And don't worry about that postage, remember, it's £3.95, but when you come back to order anything else throughout the day, that will be free. We'll have a 4-inch strip for that one. There we go, so that's my tie. So that, do that. I'll iron that now. So I'm just going to fold that in half and press it. Have we got any ideas for 10 o'clock yet? Because I'll only make a bag if nobody comes up with anything. Oh, Pauline's messaged and she says, oh, could I demo a bag from the satchel book? No. I don't have the satchel book with me, I'm afraid, Pauline, and I don't have the templates for it. So, have we got any stock of the satchels? I think we might have sold out of satchels. We're double checking if we've got any stock, because that is something that I can fit into another show, if that's okay, Pauline. But we could make a satchel. Shall we have a go? I've only got a little, we'll make a little one. I've only got a little bit of H640. Right. Okay. Down here. And that one. But we'll come back to satchels, or maybe I'll do something on YouTube if that helps. Like to oblige. I'm just folding the edge of this over by about ½ an inch, just on one side, and pressing it. And the reason for that will come to light when I sew it together. It's nice that this is so long as well, because I'm not having to join the straps. If you're making something with fabric of your own and you do need to join the straps, don't put one join right in the centre. Have a join at the hips, so one on each side, even if it means cutting the fabric up a little bit smaller. Because it looks a bit neater, I think, than just having one seam right down the middle. Morning, Shelley. Wet and dreary. Oh, where are you then? She says it's wet and dreary, and she's looking for my new quilting book for some ideas. I'm just make sure that's the right way up. There we go. So I'm rounding off the bottom 2 corners of the pocket again. So let's start sewing this together. Now we've done all of the cutting. Now I'm going to use, should we use that? Should we use that? Should we use that? Oh, or should we do that? Or should we do? I'm going to do something outrageous. I'm going to cut at an angle across here. So let's use the ruler. These are the printed red fabrics. They're the same kind of feel. They've got a canvasy kind of feel to them, these. So they're not just cotton. And we'll cut that. Let's cut a couple of inches. Make a nice border across the top there. Okay, let's sew it together. So don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Do need that. So I'm going to sew all the way around the bottom 3 sides of my apron first of all. So right sides together, although Osnabruck doesn't have a right or wrong side. And we'll sew all around the edge just with a straight stitch. I'll find the foot pedal. My foot pedal tends to migrate throughout the show, and I'm slowly learning how to do the splits. So we are just outside Birmingham. My foot pedal ends up in Northampton. So if you see it, can you send it back again? Because my legs just won't reach that long. Let's go around the curve. Keep the curve nice and curvy because you'll see the shape on the outside. Fabrics are quite good at sticking together, so I'm not using pins or clips. For this one, around the curve again and back from whence we came. I've got a bit of a wobbly line there. I'll have to unpick this. That's it, away we go. Just come on in there. I hate unpicking stitches, don't you? But when you've got the right tools for the job, look how easy that is. Just shaving away the stitches. I'm not cutting through the fabric. Look at that. Oh, perfect. And you could probably trim your beard with it when you're finished. Right, £29.99 if you wanted to go for the seam trimmer. Do you know, it's... You love your quick unpick and you hate your quick unpick. You love it because it's there, but you hate having to use it. I kind of like sewing a bit wobbly with that one, because it's actually fun to use. Just shave away the wobbly stitches. In fact, you might have noticed those stitches weren't even wobbly. I'm going to trim around the curves just to cut down on the bulk a little bit. Pinking shears would be perfect for that. I've got pinking shears, haven't I? Oh, I could have shown you the difference between serrated scissors and pinking shears, couldn't I? I've cut that a bit short now. There we go. We'll give the details of those later on. Then we'll turn this the right side out and we'll iron it. Don't forget to check out your baskets if you wanted to order that early bird fabric, because it's going to sell out. Then we'll iron this. Not an awful lot of it left now. We are limited stock, so we know that over 90% sold out. Right, so that's my pocket. And then I'm going to put that binding across the top, like so. So right sides together again, and I've cut that at a 45-degree angle, not because it needs to stretch, but because I think it looks nice at an angle. It's like an old-fashioned barber shop. So literally just sew along here. Might have cut that a little bit wide for this actually, but we'll be fine. So it's going to be like a piece of bias binding. Oh, don't you hate it when that happens? I've got some pink, that'll do, we don't see it. This little sewing machine, by the way, is the 550 Elna with 50 stitches on it. And this is the most affordable machine that we've got for you on the website. There's loads of machines on there if you're planning on upgrading, or if you want to go computerized when you have a mechanical or an electronic machine at home. All our machines are computerized machines, but we've got some really lovely ones on there. All right, so we'll fold that back there, get the iron out again. So it's coming together quite quickly. Then I'm going to trim that end off a little bit and over that way. Then this is going to fold over the top, like so. So I've got a nice diagonal stripy border across the top. Then I'm going to fold that under again just to make it nice and neat on the inside. Because even though you don't see it, the inside of your pocket, it's nice to have things finished off properly, isn't it? So I can just fold that over and press all the way across. And these end bits I'm going to fold over that way and over and over, so the end of that's nice and neat as well. Just give that a blast. And we've got a thread there, I don't like a thread. And then over, fold it back, fold it back. That's going to keep that nice and neat. And then we'll top stitch straight across the top here. If I was doing this at home with a little more time, I'd be using red thread and taking lots of care with my top stitching. So it's really noticeable. So I'm sewing just underneath the binding because I've overlapped it more on the back than on the front. And I don't want my stitches to be too visible, so they'll be less visible on the back than they are on the front. Sorry, on the patterned than they are on the stripe. So that is my pocket finished. Let's put it on my apron front. It's nicer than just that, isn't it? I'm going to fold my apron in half and crease it. I'm not going to get the iron on that, I'll just use my Hera marker. Just so I know where the centre is. This is great as well if you wanted to just mark your fabric instead of putting disappearing inks on there. It scores your fabric, and it's great if you want to hem small hems as well, because it's like scoring a piece of paper. You literally score, obviously with your ruler, and then that makes it easier to fold to get a nice crisp line. Useful little tool that for your £5.99. I'm going to fold my pocket in half as well, so I know the centre there, and then pop that right in the middle like so. And then I'm going to put a couple of pins in here. I like flower head pins because I can see them, particularly on very heavily patterned like this, because the flower heads really stand out and they're nice and long and thin. Now I'm going to sew all the way around the edge, making sure that I back tack or reverse stitch at the top of each end of the pocket, because that will make it nice and secure. So I can fit lots of cash in there when I go to my craft fair. Oh, actually, Carrie has sent a picture in, and these are some of her most popular aprons that she makes for craft fairs. Oh, look at that. Oh, they're pretty. Oh, very 1950s inspired. Oh, look at that sewing machine in the background. When you send in pictures, can you just come out a little bit so we can have a nosy around your front room? No, they're lovely, Carrie. Thank you very much for those. It's fun, isn't it? And it's so nice when you do sell things and people really appreciate them, and that's a nice thing about craft fairs, isn't it? Right, let's turn this around. Mind you, I don't know when we're going to have any craft fairs coming up. Creative Craft Show apparently is still going ahead in November. They are selling tickets for it at the moment at the NEC. Right. So that'll do for that. And then I'm going to put a dividing line down the centre, so that's how we're looking. So dividing line in the centre, put that on straight, yeah. And I've still got my crease marks actually, so I don't need to recrease that. So right down the centre of my pocket, let's keep that straight. You can measure and mark that. Again, you can use your Hera marker to mark it if you don't want to put ink on your pinny. That's that. So now I've got that look with two pockets. So we need, I'm not going to have time to put the lining on. Normally, is to give it a nice weight and a bit of quality, and it's not any more expensive, or much more expensive, to put the lining on when you've got your early bird fabric. So just like I did with the pocket, right sides together, sew the two pieces all the way around the bottom, leave the top open, turn the whole thing the right side out and press it, and then I'd top stitch. Oh, mind you, I've got a raw edge now, haven't I? That's what I'd do. Let me show you how to do the waistband, and then I may revisit and put a lining on it, because otherwise I've got to hem it. So remember, I folded, the waistband's 4 inches long by 1.5 meters, mixing imperials with metrics. I folded it in half and then folded one side over by about 1/2 inch and pressed it. So the unpressed side, so that's the iron bit, look, that's the unpressed side here. That's the bit that I'm going to sew to the top of my apron. So I'm just going to fold this in half and crease the centre point here, and that lines up with that. So pin it if you like, but I'm just going to sew straight across with a 1/2 inch seam allowance on this one, because that's the amount that I turned up the other side and pressed it. I'm not going to go all the way to the edge because I think I will put that lining in this. I'm kind of liking the look of this. So let's go I'll go as far as that, so I've still got room to put the lining in. I shall explain that later. And we can do the same that way, actually. So again, just lining up the edge. I'll go that way. So I'm starting from the middle and moving outwards. So I'll stop there for now. Normally, of course, you'd sew right up to the edge. So we have that. And then I press it, fold this section over, and I pin that all the way around, and then top stitch from that side. So again, I like long pin. This is another reason I like the long pins, because I'm going to pin, always pin that way so that they're easier to take out when you're sewing. Get 100 of those for $10.99. And they're nice and slim. Some flower head pins are quite thick. These are quite fine ones. So pin all the way around like so, and then flip it over and top stitch along here. And because you've got such nice long pins, you can just easily take them out as you're approaching it. So that you're going to sew all the way around and all the way around the rest of here, folding over the edge as you sew. So that's when, have a look at this. So that's sewn on there like that. When you come to the end of the apron here, you're going to have to fold that over, because then those two pieces are going to be sewn together, and you can just top stitch all the way around there, all the way down to the end. So that's how your apron's going to look. I'll take the pins out before I put it on. But the reason I haven't sewn right up to the end is because now I can still fold that to the centre and put the lining side on it. So but I just wanted to get somewhere with it before we get to the end of the show. And that's what my apron's going to look like. That's what my apron's going to look like. As sweet as, I think it's the colours that make it. Yeah, really pleased. And remember, the red comes from the red fat quarter pack. It kind of outlines it, doesn't it? It makes the pocket stand out even more. But I like the really natural, organic kind of look that you get with that. Okay, well, I hope you ordered your early bird and weren't watching for too long, because we think it's just about gone. Keep checking. We're keeping our eye on it. We're not sure if it's actually gone or not, because a lot of you are holding on to it in your basket. No more messages from Facebook. Do you remember, I'm on Facebook, not the Facebook fans page, if you've got any questions or you've got any comments. Or you can drop us an email on sewingstreet.com. Now, in the red fat quarter pack, I have chopped into this one, remember. This is what you're getting. This is quite sturdy fabric, so it's going to be great for bag making or aprons and things like that. So that's the red stripe that I used. There's also the larger red stripe. I think you can see more of the texture of the fabric on this one. It's quite a loose weave, but it's a nice heavy kind of weight to it. It's the same with the roses. It's like a canvas kind of feel to it. And again, you can see that looser weave. So it's a nice strong fabric. And then you've got the spot as well. And you've got the mould red too. All of those for £14.99, which means they're only about £3 each, which is great value. And they all go with your Osnabruck fabric really, really well. This is the natural set. So in here you will have, it's all kind of Paris-based, this one. So we've got a script. We have a spot. I have been delving into these. You will get full fat quarters. You have a couple of naturals, but with different weaves. This one's quite stiff. As you can see, it almost stands up by itself. So that's going to be great for making a bag without interfacing. Then you've got one that's a little bit softer, and then the one that I used for the pocket, which has got the stamps and the scissors and things all over that one. And those again are £14.99. Bonne qualité, it says on there. Tissu de la Broderick Pearlesque exercise number 4356, apparently. Right, coming up after the break, we've got something brand new for you. I might have had something to do with it. We're looking at the Beach Hut kit. So if you've already got my quilting book, all of the instructions are in the book. We just put together all of the fabrics and the bosal and a doweling rod and the cord and the bias binding and the scratch, everything that you need to make that. And I'll be demonstrating that in the next hour as well. And of course we've got the bits and bobs in there as well. So that's coming up next. So we're going to see you again in a couple of minutes' time.
Hi, I'm Neil from Sewing Street. Today we're going to have a look at some electric scissors that we'll be getting in shortly. So let's get some fabric and try it. And I've stolen a few fabrics out of the box. I'm not sure whether it was the box I should be taking fabrics out of, but I just decided to take it. And I've got, just for a bit of difference, I've got a kind of pleather here, PU leather, because that's quite thick. And I've just got some normal cotton. So we'll try it on the leather first. So we'll start off going through one layer, but I think we can soon up this. And the nice thing about the scissors over a rotary cutter is, with a rotary cutter you'd use it when you're cutting in a straight line. So like a rotary cutter you can cut a nice straight line on there, but if you're doing a pattern, so if we had a paper pattern on here, the nice thing about these scissors is they can cut round corners very easily. So let's have a play with that. That's actually quite addictive. So we've got a nice wavy pattern there, and it's very, very easy. So differences between these scissors and other ones that we've seen online is these scissors have a tungsten blade, and other ones online have got an alloy blade. So the tungsten metal that these blades are made out of is very strong and they're very sharp. So they're not going to go blunt very easily, and they will cut through, you know, quite a thick object. So another good thing about these scissors is the amount of times that the jaws open and close, and the faster they open and close, the cleaner the cut and the less likely it is to snag. So you can cut very naturally with these very quickly. You don't have to take it steady or worry about it snagging the material. It will just go through it, well, like a hot knife through butter. So I'm just going to straighten this edge. I'm going left-handed now. Here you go. So, and this is your kind of thicker PU leather. This is the blunt blade as well, don't forget. And I'm going to fold it now and find out how many layers it will go through. So first I'll fold it in half. So I'm expecting this to go through 2 layers pretty easily. So let's give that a go. Yep, obviously not very straight because I didn't hold that very straight, but 2 layers, no problem for it. And this is the blunt blade. Don't forget we've got blade A, which is a sharper blade if you need more. So let's fold the PU leather in half again. So this is 4 layers now. Still goes through 4 layers very easily. So should I go for 8 layers with the blunt blade? Well, let's give it a try. And this is the first time I've played with this, so this may work, it may not. I mean, that is quite thick. I mean, yeah, you are looking, I'd say that's a good 6mm thick of PU leather there. And it's folded and bunched at the end. So let's see if this works. And I'm relying on the fact it definitely won't cut my fingers off. Well, yeah. So even with the blunt blade, that still goes through all that, you know, very easily, like a hot knife through butter. If you were holding it properly, you could get a nice clean edge. I mean, I'm trying to do it on camera and hold it one-handed and stuff.
If you love sewing, then you need the UK's favourite sewing magazine. Every month, you'll receive exclusive patterns. Follow simple step-by-step guides suitable for all skill levels to make your own stunning clothes, accessories and more, together with inspiring tips and tricks from industry experts. Join in and discover your love for sewing. Try Love Sewing today and get your first 3 issues for just £6.
Hello, I'm Carrie from Living in Loveliness and I'm delighted to be part of the Sewing Street team. I'm based in Wolverhampton and I absolutely love working with fabulous fabrics. In particular, I love working with fat quarters and showing you how to get the most from your scraps. I love bringing communities of sewists together and encouraging people to sew for greater causes. Most recently, we have been sewing for our NHS and key workers. I look forward to bringing you hints, tips and techniques. I'll see you soon.
Would you like to take part in our weekly competition? If you do, then all you have to do is head to the Sewing Street fan page group on Facebook. Post your picture of your make. Myself, Debbie Shaw and John Cole Morgan love looking at all of your makes every week. We pick our favourite and announce the winner every Friday live on the show. Happy sewing and good luck.
Hi there, welcome back to Sewing Street. This wonderful Sunday sewing morning. I know it's raining outside, but it's still nice when you can stay in and sew, isn't it? Right, in this hour we have my latest book. Now, thousands of you have bought this already, but the reason that we brought it back again today is because we've put together a kit to make one of the projects from the book. If you haven't seen the book before, let me just give you a brief overview. This is it's a techniques-based book. Basically, I have 22 published books, and 20 of those 22 are all project books. Sewing Room Secrets is the start of a new range of techniques-based books. So the first one was machine sewing. This one's quilting. I've just finished writing Dressmaking, which will be published later on in the year. And that's going to be a whole series of techniques that lead through to projects. So this is beginners. They're all beginners projects. They're all beginners books. And I'm concentrating on quilting techniques, not patchwork. These are signed, by the way, as well. You can get a bit extra when you resell this on eBay when they're signed, apparently. But it's about techniques. So patchwork and quilting go hand in hand together, but they are different techniques. You can quilt without patchworking, you can patchwork without quilting, or you can do the two together. So I wanted to kind of demystify quilting for the beginner sewer and show you the different techniques. Then you can use them for whatever you like. So this is quilting. You can quilt an egg cosy. You can quilt a plain piece of fabric. You can quilt a bed quilt. There are quilts in here as well, but it's more about the different techniques. So there's all the explanation about tools and materials that are used generally with quilting, and then moving on to different techniques that you can use. So explain what is a quilt sandwich, straight line quilting, quilt as you go, free motion embroidery, about binding, if you are making a quilt, a placemat, or even the hanger that we've got in the show, you're going to need to know about binding, so that's all in there as well. Mini chicken quilt, that's been one of your favourite. I've seen more mini chicken quilts on social media than anything. That's the hanger. What's trapunto? And then we'll move on to projects. There are 10 projects in the book using all of the different techniques. So stitching in the ditch, adding borders, patchwork table runner, quilted tote bag, no patchwork in that one. What does sashing mean? And then we've got more projects coming up there as well. So it's basically learning techniques. There's hand quilting, big stitch quilting, and then taking the techniques that you've learned and making projects from them as well. And you've got templates in the back of the book there too. So that's £9.99. And again, Sewing Street have signed copies of those at the moment. But what we've done is taken your favourite projects, and this has been one of them, and put a kit together so you can make them at home. Which I think is quite a nice idea, because if this is the first time you're going to sew, you're not going to go out and buy half a yard of purple fabric because you want a door like that. Very rarely do you go and buy 3 buttons, or you just want different coloured scraps. You'd end up spending a lot of money on even fat quarter bundles of fabric when all you need is tiny, tiny little pieces to go, to make the bunting, to make the heart and to make the doors. A tiny bit of fabric to make a yacht. A little square of white fabric to make the clouds. Not often that, well, you wouldn't, unless you've got a stash of fabric already, that can set you back quite a lot. The bias binding, this is included in the kit as well. Just to mention, your colours will be the same, but your patterns may vary a little bit. So some of you will have chambray for the blue, some of you will have a blender, you'll all have a gingham check for the sky. The colours of the stripes and the colour of the scraps are going to vary, and some of you will have a spotty bias binding, and some of you will have a stripe, and some of you will have a plain, but you'll have enough to do all of this yourself. And you see how you've got the blue bias binding at the top? You'll have this, you probably get a spot, and then a plain bias binding to go across the horizon, and then I've changed it to the same colour as the bottom. So it's not framed all in the same colour. You've got the different colours, so it kind of differentiates between it. You are also going to have cord to hang it up, and I'll show you in the box actually. There will be a doweling rod in there as well, and of course your bosal foam. So there really is everything that you need to make it. I was going to hang it back up, but my pins fell out. And it all comes in a box with a pretty picture on the front as well. So in here, those are your clouds. There's 2 of those. This is your bag of bits. So you've got your deck chairs, you've got your cord in there, your bias binding. There should be 3 little buttons, and then plain scraps as well. That's your sky, that's your sea, that's your sand. This is your bosal, because all of the pockets have got are made from bosal as well. And your rod to hang it up. So there is literally everything that you need in that box to get you going, or to make the complete thing. So, but the instructions are in the book. Okay, so this is aimed at those of you that have already bought the book, but there are a couple of thousand of you just here. So I hope you enjoy it. So shall we do something? Shall we do it? Shall we do it? We were rude not to. So let me get the cutting mat again. Pop that there. Let's take this and my rotary cutter, and I will read the instructions because I do so many of these projects I can't remember what I've written. So this was towards the back, wasn't it? Maybe it wasn't. There we go. Right, so we'll cut the bosal first of all. Now when you get your bosal home, it will be rather creased, and it's always nice to start a project with flat things, so flat fabric and flat bosal. This is single-sided fusible, so on the one side it's quite rough, that's the glue, and it's nice and soft on this side. I don't want to stick this to my mat, so I'm just going to go over the creases with hot steam from an iron, and those creases are literally melting away. So I'm not actually touching it, I'm just, you see the really bad crease there? Let me show you, I've got a pin in there. That's a really bad crease. That will simply melt away. So that's nice and flat and ready to cut. So we're going to need, because there's three pieces there. The whole of the back is one piece, and then the middle pocket is another piece there, and then your bottom pocket is another piece. So we need to cut 3. So you might have a little bit left over. Might need a bigger cutting mat. So we are going to need it's on there somewhere. 14 by 15 is the finished size, so that's going to be the size of the back of this. So let's make sure that's straight. So we'll just square this off here. Catherine sent a picture, and I love it when you send pictures in. And she says she loves my new book, and she's made a chicken quilt. She's never done free motion quilt before. Oh, that is amazing. I've seen that before. You put it on Facebook, didn't you? That is gorgeous. The yellow really pops. The fun thing about the chicken quilt is just giving them character with their funny little legs and their little beaks and pointing in opposite directions, and that's loads of fun to make. And that quilt is perfect if you don't have much room for actually quilting, because every single panel is made and quilted individually, and then the blocks are sewn together. The pink around the edge is actually the backing fabric that wraps around, so that's not bias binding, so that's a really simple one to make. So again, it's a book for beginners, so we want it to be nice and easy. So what did I say, 15 by 14. 15, where's my 15 gone? Comes after 14, doesn't it? There we go. Oh gosh, 40% of the stock of the kit's gone. We need a bigger, when we move into our new studio at the end of June, we're going to have lovely big tables. I keep saying it. in the hope that, yeah, I keep saying the end of June. It's going to be June next year, isn't it? Or the year after. It'd be when we have our new studio at the end of 1 June in the future. Right, so let me cut this to, what did I say, 15 by 14. So that's up to there. And then we'll cut that nice and square as well. Really easy to cut through your Bosal. It's not like cutting through paper. You don't need a different rotary cutting mat. It's easy to sew through as well. But the reason I like it is because it's lovely to quilt into. So that's the back. I've cut that too small. I've cut it too small. We'll make it smaller. And then I'll need a pocket to go on the front. There's so many ingredients in this one. So let's see this. I also cut bias binding, templates for that. Right. So my pocket for the front here. I'm going to make it there. Just measure and mark. That's that. Whoops. So that goes across here. And if you've got your own favourite fabrics, of course, you can use it. And I'll just trim that back. It's easier than just keep measuring, just to trim it back against the backing to make it the same size. Don't throw your bits away because you can actually join them together. Both will do a tape actually that joins them together really well, but because they're fusible, you can just fuse that up against another piece on the back of your fabric and it stays in place. And then smaller pocket on the front. You might even be able to make this a little bit bigger, you know. Dependent on the size of your Bosal, because there is a little bit of extra fabric in there as well. So we'll trim you off there, just trying to make the most of this one. Oh, that's because I'm trying to cut through 2 layers. Cutting through multiple layers, then maybe a 60mm rotary cutter would be better. So we'll have that to the same width. Square off that and we'll have that there. So you have got a few bits left over there. So that's one pocket, oh no, that was the pocket. And then we've got one that goes on top and then the one that I've just cut to go there. So that's the way that it works with all 3 pockets lined up together. Then we'll need to cut out the beach huts. Janet's trying to guess what the 6th of July is going to be. Is it going to be the Christmas launch? No. Bit more special than that. It's not because we're in the new studio. No, no. Oh, no. Oh, there's my stripy fabric gone. Oh, here we are. I had actually prepared this one. Need that. That's my stripy fabric there. And that's my blue. So I'm going to, you do have templates for your beach huts, but just to make it a bit quicker, I'm not going to. What I am going to do is to use a little bit of Bondaweb on the back of these. Which just makes it easier to cut them out, particularly when you've got the smaller bits like the bunting. Oh, I might need some more of this. And you bought a little bit. Let's just cut those out first, because I don't want to get the Bondaweb stuck to, thank you, the back of my fabric. So if I cut down one straight edge like so, then I can use a little bit of heat to hold that in place before we cut it out. I think what we'll do is I'll show you the beach huts we'll get those stuck on the front. And then I think we should do the sky with the sun, because I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get through all of this in the hour. It's all in the book anyway, all of your instructions are in there. But I think it's quite nice if you can personalise a little bit. So you could put initials on the door. Or if you've got some printable fabric, you could print photographs of faces and put them in windows and things. That would be fun. You could add, I don't know, some seagulls. Let's just trim that down to size. Oh yes, you could have the bathroom door or the shed door. So, 60% of the stock sold out now. Oh dear. Right, obviously you are going to measure and mark these and make them perfect when you have yours at home. But I'm just want to give you an idea of how simple this is to make. So those are going to go on there like that. There will be 3 of those. And so the other one's going to be in orange. We're going to need some clouds, so I'll get those on the bonder web while we're here as well. So that goes on there. And you'll have the same white fabric in your set, which is a sunburst. Oh, by the way, if you wanted to go for the bonder web, you get 5 metres there for £23.99. And I think for something like this, you're going to find it invaluable, because we're going to put bunting on here as well, which is very small. So it's quite easy to cut out, but it's quite difficult to sew. So I'm just going to cut a little strip of this to make some bunting. So you will have some bits and bobs left over. Let's put those down that side. There we go. Now this is the first kit I've ever brought you, isn't it? And guess what? We've got another one coming up tomorrow. It's a bag tomorrow, predictably. By popular demand, it's actually a reversible bag that I made live in the studio the other day. And lots of you have made it already, which is fabulous, but we've put it together with instructions. So you've got all of the measurements and some beautiful fabric. Okay, so let's make clouds. Oh, that's hot. Again, you've got the templates in the back, but just for speed's sake, I've done so many of these, I think I'll just cut them out. So there's a larger one and a small one. Could have got them both out of this piece, actually, couldn't I? That's there. And then a smaller one here. Now with your fabric scissors, we've just had a question about cutting through bonder web because there's paper on the back. I don't have a problem with that, or cutting through paper patterns, to be honest. Eventually it will blunt your scissors, but you don't do it so often that it's going to be a problem. And then with your bunting, that's just tiny triangles. So again, you do have your templates in there, but if you're quite confident in just cutting out little triangles, then that's a doddle. So let's cut them all together. And the nice thing is they don't have to be perfect. But none of it has to be perfect, and sometimes it's quite nice and quirky when things aren't. It's my excuse for getting it wrong. So because the fabric doesn't have a print on it, I'm actually cutting 2 lots of bunting all at the same time, if you see what I mean. I won't need that much. But then I've got another lot here, look. Loads of bunting. Save all of these bits as well, because if you do a lot of applique, you're going to find those useful. That. Right, we're still ironing at the moment. We'll do some sewing in a minute. You can free motion embroider these, but it's quite nice to just use a straight stitch on your sewing machine. It's just as easy. I'm looking really messy, aren't I? Can you see what I'm doing at home? Tell me if I can't. Stop being so messy, Debbie Shaw, for goodness sake, tidy up. So we have the check for the sky, and this is going to be for the back of the unit as well. So there's about 1/2 metre of the check fabric that you're going to get. So we'll just use half of it here. Now with your bow saw, you want steam to help it adhere. So just a quick iron, but plenty of steam. Like so. Just make sure it's stuck. We are down to single figures on the kit now. It's going really, really quickly. There won't be any more, by the way. So once it's gone, it really has gone. So that's nice and stuck. Let's trim it back to the size of the bow saw, and then we can get sewing it together. So there's one. There we go. And again, you've got plenty here if you wanted to make some check bunting, because the back of the whole thing is going to be in the same check fabric, which will take out that much, so you've still got a little bit left over. So you can make a smaller version, actually, maybe somewhere to keep your letters at the side of the back door or something, or a key one, so like a mini version of it. Because basically all you're doing is sewing together the rectangles. There we go, so that's that. So that's the back. So I need my clouds and a sun, but I'm just going to pop the second pocket on here so I know that I'm not overlapping it, because I want to see the clouds and the sun. I don't know where I put my clouds. There's my clouds. So those can go on here. Remember, you're having binding around here, so if you're making it a different size to the one that I'm doing, allow 1/2 inch all the way around the edge, so we can overlap those two. We don't want to go behind here, and we don't want to go too close to the edge there, otherwise the binding will go over the clouds. And then we'll need a yellow sun. Let's use a bit of one of the scraps. And there is a circle template in the back for this one, but let's just see how accurately I can cut a circle like that. That will do. And that's going to pop just behind the clouds like so. And then I'm going to iron them down and then stitch them down as well. So let me just make sure that that all lines up and my clouds aren't disappearing. Sun's overlapping there. And then we will sew these down individually. So the sun goes, oh, I should have put some sticky on the back of that. Never mind. I'm going to use some 505 spray instead. So we are limited stock for the kit now, I'm afraid. And again, there won't be any more. So a bit of 505 on there will be fine. So that's going to go here. So now I know everything's in place. I'm going to use a friction pen and just draw some lines from the sun for the sun's rays. And then we'll straight stitch over the top. And that's going to go through the bow saw and through the fabric, obviously. Now, do we sell friction pens? I don't think I've had those on one of my shows. Whoa! Be aware with friction pens that they're not designed for fabric. So if you're not using them, I mean, something like this, as long as you stitch straight over the top, you should be fine. But if you're using them for quilts or anything like that, do a test first, because on some fabrics they can actually bleach the fabric. But have a look on the website, we've got them on there. I think that would be enough. And then I'm going to sew around the sun and down each one of those lines. Need a bigger table. There. So So first of all, I've got grey thread in here, but I think we'll be fine. I'd normally use white. So around the sun first of all. If you want to use a zigzag stitch, that's fine. I'm just trying to get somewhere near finishing, so I'm just going to use a straight stitch for now. Can you see how the stitches really sink in? I'll show you that in just a second. That's why I love working with Bosul. So around like so. Could have been straighter. And then we'll go along each one of these rays. Oops, it's going to go. Oh, foot pedal again. It's in Coventry at the moment. So one. Can you see that? The stitches really sink in. It looks so luxurious. I'm going to lengthen the stitch just a little bit to a 28. But it gives it depth again. Oh, I'll iron away the pen marks in a minute so you can see, but it really gives it a nice texture. Snip you off there. The kit's sold out, I'm afraid. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Remember, you do have all of the instructions in the book. The book's still available and the book is signed. It just means that you might have to order a little bit more. Bosul normally comes in a really wide width, but there again you can make two, and you can make bags out of it as well. And if you've already got fabrics in your stash, I think as long as you've got blue and you've got yellow and you've got some nice bright colours, then you're going to be fine. You'll be able to make it. This check is actually a polycotton. And I don't think it matters if it's a pattern fabric or a plain fabric, as long as your beach huts and your sunsills stand out. We've got some nice bright colours coming up in the next hour. Or the stripes from the red fat quarter bundle in the previous hour would look nice. Now don't forget you can add things. So like seagulls would be good, or, oh, what about doing a hot air balloon? Why didn't I do a hot air balloon? Should have done a hot air balloon, that would have been a nice idea. Next one. Almost done. And then I'll take away the red lines and just show you how the stitches really sink in there. Whoops, come out. Just two more rays. Do you know, threading the needle always helps when you're sewing. It's funny that, isn't it? And a needle threader, I would never buy a machine without one. There we go. Come on through. That little noise was a protest because I started sewing off the end of the fabric and machines just don't like it. So clickety click and snap, and then lots of nesting underneath you normally find. And that's on any machine. Doesn't matter how much you spend on it, always happens. One last ray. And then if I just iron those marks away, then you should be able to see the rays, because they really kind of sink in, don't they? So that's the, well, I need to put the clouds on the top of that now. You see the lines that I've sewn, they just really stand out. Love that. Let's put the clouds on. These are going to go on one at a time. And if you've used Bondo web on the butt, then just give it a scratch and that peels away quite easily. So the big one goes on the back first. Again, I'm just going to offer the second pocket up to it to make sure that my clouds aren't disappearing into the sea. And trim that off. Oh, you could do sunset, couldn't you? Sunset or sun. Oh, why didn't I do that? So you could have your sun sinking into the next pocket down like that, and maybe use a very dark blue. Or you could have, and then you need like a reflection in the water, don't you? Oh, that would have been lovely. See So that can go there, and that one goes there. And in there. And we just sew around the edge of that. Again, you can use a satin stitch on your machine if you prefer. Hot. Ooh, very hot. And I'd use a white thread, not a grey one like I've got here. Cat Director today says that's a silver lining. That was very quick of you, Cat. So just around the curves there, stop with the needle down. You could have a little aeroplane. Remember aeroplanes? We used to get quite a few flying over, but it's quite odd to see them now. They'll be back soon, I'm sure. I don't need to sew all the way around there because the next cloud's going over the top. So that's that. And then second cloud goes on top of that again. Have I taken that? Oh, I'm scratching the wrong side. It's both white. Peel that away. So that, again, I'm going to check with the pocket that I've not clouds in the sea. Let's just have one cloud. It's going to take ages to do that, isn't it? So put the second cloud on, put a few birds on there as well if you want to do anything else that you wanted to add at this point, add it now before the backing goes on. The next one is the sea. So the sea is either going to be in a chambray or, oh, that's the buttons. Those are the doors to your beach huts, because you're getting the buttons in there as well. And let's cut this, so it needs to go there. Right, I won't be able to finish this because we've sold out as well, but I just want to give you an idea of what you're going to do with it. So that's a lot, isn't it? That's your chambray, which is for the sea. Again, the colours that you get may be slightly different. They'll all be blue, but they'll be slightly different prints. It won't be purple. So that goes on there. And the sea's got a little boat on it. You could put some whales and dolphins, or really. In fact, I'd love to see that actually. A lot of the time when you make projects and you post them on social media and you add your own little twist, it's just really nice to see, because you put some thought into it. Let's do that. So we just had a question through, but I didn't hear it. Are we allowed? Oh, no, we do a make of the week on our Facebook fans page, and somebody was asking if you put a picture on there as your project, and myself and Vicky and John will all pick out one of our favourites. I may be completely biased. In fact, I think I picked one of my projects for one of this week's. I can't remember. You can buy me very easily, just put one of my projects on there. Again, that is going to be the sea. You'll have a little boat on there, but we're going to do the waves of the sea first, because we want the boat to sit on top of the waves. And this is literally wavy lines. I'm not even going to mark these. Don't worry about having to have a particularly fancy sewing machine for working with Bosal either. It's really simple to sew through. So just meandering across the sea, and then I'm not even going to make those even because waves tend not to be. So we'll have the next one there. And so all the way down. And then we just carry on. Remember, we have sold out of the kit now, but all of your instructions are in the book, which is £9.99, and it's signed. Oh, and to let you know, oh, somebody won it. Somebody. I put a golden ticket in one of the books for somebody to win the very quilted bag that's in the book. And when because I sat here signing thousands of books, honestly, it took me an age. Don't mind at all. And I popped it in one of the books, and the box that the book went into was actually marked golden ticket. So that was the first box that the warehouse were going to send out. So somebody who placed their order early was going to win that. So we knew that the books had sold. We knew that they'd been posted out. So we knew that somebody had got a golden ticket, and nobody claimed it. And I was starting to think that everyone's going to think that I didn't put that ticket in there because I didn't want to give my bag away. But apparently it was claimed yesterday. So that should be announced soon, whoever's won it. So that's your C. I'm not going to put the boat on it now because we have sold out. So I just wanted to give you an idea as to how this is going to be made up. So that's going to go on there. And then finally we have the sand here. So that's going to be in your yellow fabric. And this one has the beach huts in front of it. I've done this a lot smaller than what it's supposed to be for some reason, but you'll get the gist. Follow the directions in your book and you'll get the right size. I don't know how that happened. It's not to scale, but does it matter really? Okay, so that goes there. Oh, I got a thread behind there. Don't want that there. So you do have, oh, and again, look. You do have a little bit of wiggle time. But once this is cooled down, there will be a permanent adhesion. Morning, Shelley. Shelley's just looking through my new quilting book for ideas for a new project. Great show, thank you very much. Carol says, ask Neil for a non-slip overlocker mat, the red one. It will stop your foot pedal slipping. That's a good idea. Because we're on a carpet here, so it's quite cheap carpet. It's not a nice floor. So when I put my foot on my foot pedal, I'm literally, it's a good job I'm quite flexible, isn't it? So I'm sliding over here. And as we are speaking, Cat Director has just rushed out, got the mat on her hands and knees under the table and put me a floor mat down there. They're a nice bunch here, aren't they? Great idea, Carol. Thank you very much. And Pam's messaged in on Facebook, morning Debbie, enjoying the show. I've made quite a few pinnies, just as you've been doing, for a craft fair, and I hope will happen later on in the year. I've made them in fat quarters. That's a good idea. That was lovely. I love the cacti. What a lovely print. One for main body and the other a pocket and the waistband from Pam. Thank you. Let me just see if there's any more before we carry on. Because we're rude not to read your messages out. Enjoying the show and spending money. Sorry about that, Janet. I'm not. The 6th of July wouldn't be Christmas launch. But no, it's not. It's not Christmas. It's better than Christmas. Rosalind said, just thought you may like to see my finished lockdown quilt. A lovely reminder of not always a lovely time. Oh look, we've got in the middle of that. Dresden plates, lovely. Thank you for all of those. Thank you for your comments. Are we having a guess as to what's coming up on the 6th of July? It's a very important day. Right, so I'm just trimming this back. So at the moment, I'm just doing the front of each one of the pieces, not the backs, because I didn't want to quilt through the front and the back, just the front bit. Just trim that back so it's straight. Oh, till it's wobbly. Okay, and then we'll just have a couple of beach huts, just so you get the gist. Your beach huts will be bigger than this. This never goes right, does it? Right, that's that. scratch there. And remember, you do have enough fabric to make 3 beach shirts that big. I'm doing oh, what was it that Hannah producer said when we were dressmaking and we hadn't got enough fabric to make something? She says, why don't we just say that it makes it easier to see on camera when the projects are smaller? So that's a good idea. It's not because we hadn't got enough fabric, it just means it's easier to see on camera. So I've deliberately made these beach shirts a little bit small because they're easy to see on camera. Now you also have plain fabrics for the doors, and you've got lots of colours as well on these. So we won't need to do that in our new studio. We will have the space and the fabrics. I'll be long gone before we have a new studio. I might have a plaque on a bench or something. Is there apparently there's a plaque on a bench outside. That was some poor soul waiting for a studio, probably. There we go. Nice idea. Okay, so that can go on there. I'll give it, so you'll have a whole row of those, and use your Bonder web if you've got it, because it's a little bit more permanent than these. And then I think I'm going to use some of the orange for the roof. Like that. And like that. I'm not going to sew around all of these because we really are running out of time, aren't we? So that's how you make up the beach huts. And at this point as well, you can sew the little buttons on. So that goes like that. You can make waves in the sand if you wanted to. So I would sew around the house first, and then sew around the door, and then sew around the roof pieces. So you build it from the bottom to the top. And again, you can straight stitch or you can free motion embroider. You've got 3 little buttons in there that you can hand sew on. Do that at this stage, you'll find it easier. And those are going to be the door handles. You could add buckets and spades and deck chairs and build it up and make it, or little sandcastles. Oh, if you've got some of that sandcastle fabric that we had on last week while I was here, the Lewis and Irene, you could actually cut out some of the sandcastles and stick those on as well. So that's that. Okay. Oh, and then the bunting. I used a triple straight stitch for the bunting rope, which is in black, which goes backwards and forwards. I'll show you. It goes backwards and forwards and gives a really dense line. And literally I just drew, then sewed a wobbly line across these 2. Shall I turn it round so you can see it properly? And then stuck the bunting down and then sewed over the top like that. There's a little heart template in the book as well, so you can do that. But that's what yours is going to look like, and yours will be this big as well. So then what you're going to do is to put them all together. Oh no, you're going to put the backs on. So with each one of the pockets against there, and then cut to the same shape. And if you've got 505 spray, stick that down, because your bowstle's only sticky on one side, so stick that down. Do the same with the sea. Remember, you've got a little yacht on there, but you can add fish or fish tails or dolphins or cruise liners. And then that one goes on there. Oh, some of those windmills. That would look good in the sea, wouldn't it? Love those. Then you put your backing fabric on, which is all the blue check. So that goes on the back here. Like that. So imagine that's all done. I've got all of the backing pieces on. Okay, let me just move that out of the way and tidy up somewhat. And then also in the kit, you will have bias binding. To open this one, and this is somebody's, but I shan't cut into your bias binding, don't worry. I'm just going to show you what we do. So messy. Right, this is before you put the backing on. So this is your bias binding. Right. The dark blue goes across the horizon, So you'll sew that on there. I like to machine sew, fold it over and then hand sew at the back, but it's up to you if you want to do that in a different manner. We've got some yellow to go across here. We've got blue to go all around the top, and that overlaps with the yellow that goes all around the bottom. Before you do that, I'm going backwards a little bit. On the back of your fabric, you will need, don't look too closely at this because it's been sellotaped to the wall so many times. You'll need to make a tube of fabric like this, and you will have a thinner dowel. Mine's a bit of broken wood because I haven't got any. You'll have a 12-inch doweling stick in the box that you thread through there. So do that before you put the rest of this together. And then you've got the cord in there to hang it up as well. It wasn't very neat, was it? And then you'll do the bias binding and layer all this together. So the last pieces to go on, do that one separately, do the C separately, then you layer the whole things together. So you've got the backing on, you've got the tube on the back of there to hang it, and then to finish it off, you go all the way around with your yellow and your blue bias binding. So I hope that's explained without having time to make the whole thing up. But again, you've got your instructions in the book there as well. Let me just put that back in there again because that belongs to somebody now. And I don't want you missing your binding. There we are, and that goes back in the box like I'd never been in it in the first place. So enjoy making those and do share your pictures. I can't wait to see yours, and if you do personalise them. If you have missed out on the kit, look at the mess in here. When we have our new studio, we'll have cleaners and a floor manager and an assistant producer, an assistant director, an assistant floor manager and a sound engineer. Never going to happen. If you have missed out, all of the instructions are in my book. So this is it. This is what we've been making, and again, you can see how you can personalise it if you don't want it to look exactly like this one. Other projects in here are the Trapunto Christmas stocking. Have I got that? I might even have that. Might have it in a minute. Bear with me. Yes, I have. Here we go. And this is the technique. So this is all padded from the back. So you can see you've got the shape of a stag's head. You've got the template in the book as well. And then you stitch around the edge of the actual shape. I did that with free motion embroidery. And then squiggle up to it. And I've only kind of quilted this area. I've used two different colours, so it goes from the dark to the light. So this is actually quilted all the way down here and all the way down there. So it's like diagonally across there. But it just makes, it's quite subtle, but you can see it just makes that stand out a little bit. Did that on plain fabric, that would really stand out. One of my favourites, oh, and I haven't got it here. Oh, there's my bias binding. I know I've got it somewhere. We've got a little bit of Quilt As You Go. We've got a disappearing 9 patch. The chicken quilt is in there. That's one of my favourite ones I was looking for, which is English paper piecing. So this is all done by hand. But again, it's about different quilting techniques, and this is a technique where you can tie your quilt. I thought it lent itself to this style of quilt because I think it looks a little bit more handmade. I'll let you into a secret. This was going to be a double bed quilt. I lost the will. And then I thought, well, if I make it a cock quilt and then put a really big border around it, it'll look bigger than it actually is. And honestly, it's so time consuming, but I love doing things like this because it's calming and it's relaxing and you don't need a sewing machine. And I take great satisfaction in doing tiny, tiny, tiny stitches that when you turn your work over, you can't even see them. And it's a lovely project for sitting out in the garden or going down to the beach, or if you're traveling on a long journey and you want to kill a little bit of time, then, but again, all of your instructions and even the template for the hexagon are in the book. And these are signed. And it's only £9.99. Let's see if anybody else has messaged. Sewing Street and Community and... Oh, Shirley says, was watching an old video of you on YouTube making something similar and adapted it. Oh, that's nice. I love the flower lid on your mug as well. Morning, lovely project, something different. All these different Facebook confuses me. Lol, she said. Must order your book. Enjoying the show and spending, well, we've seen that one is. Now coming up in the next hour, we've got some fabrics, and I don't know what to do with them. So if you've got any suggestions, they're Allison Glass, and they're nice and bright. There's a bit of Lewis and Irene. We've got a little bit of hedgehoggery over there, and some cross stitch, and a bit of Tula Pink. So if you've got any requests, studio@sewingstreet.com, or go to the Facebook page, not the Facebook fans ones, I'm not on that. And I need to tidy up a little bit as well. Oh, now let me show you. Our back in stock Aurifil threads. So we've sold out on a previous occasion, we've got them back in stock for you now. Really important, no matter what your project is, that you use a quality thread, because your seams are going to be stronger and your project will last longer. And these are good basic colours, so black, grey, white and ivory. So really good basic collection of threads that don't have to be balanced on top of the box, but they do come boxed. I know a lot of quilters prefer Aurifil thread. There's a lot on the reels here as well. So in total, how much have you got in there? Oh, it's 50 weight as well, which is the most used weight of thread for any project that you're making. If you're quilting, if you're dressmaking, or if you're making beach hook wall hangers even. It's £35.99 for all 4 of those. Oh no, how much is on each one of those? 1,300 metres. And you've got 4 of those for £35.99. Worth stocking up on things like that as well, and particularly in those colours. They're the colours that you're going to be using most of all, so it's nice to have a stash of the right colours, if you like. Somewhere under here we have some applique scissors for you as well. Oh, there we go, here they are. Now then, these scissors we tend to sell out of a lot. If you're doing applique, and I wouldn't necessarily trim this one back, but I'll show you the way that they've been designed to work. To start off with, they have an angled handle, and this makes the scissors ideal if you want to cut against something flat. So if you are upholstering, if you want to trim around the edge of your fabric around a stool or something like that, you're cutting against something flat. So you're not going to be able to get scissors in and out again. This is ideal for those kind of things, but they're designed for applique. So as I have my applique here, that's actually stuck down. Because you've got the duckbill side here, that goes underneath. We've got something that's not stuck. Pretend I've sewn that. You can go underneath. Oh, come on. Oh, no, let's do this one. Your bonder web sticks really well. It goes underneath your fabric but doesn't cut into the stitches. So for instance, if that wasn't stuck down so well and I wanted to trim this back again, it's not going to cut through the stitches because of the way that they've been designed. So the bottom bill goes up to the stitches and the top one cuts through. And again, you've got an angled handle. If I was going to do that with a pair of scissors, I'd be going in and out. If I was trimming against something flat, I'd be trying to do it this way. By the time I get to the handles, that's not flat anymore. But the angled handles on these just means that you can cut flat and you've got enough room for your fingers underneath there, so you're not tilting the scissors. So you're less likely to have the point of the scissors going into your work. But again, that's not going to cut through the stitches. It won't allow you to. So you can cut this back really close to your stitches without damaging them. Now, £16.99, they're a funny looking pair of things, aren't they? But when you start using them, they're very sharp to the point as well. So they're great for snipping in, but at any type of applique, you must get your applique scissors. It just makes life so much easier, and you can get really, really close, and it's a lot more accurate than trying to battle with scissors there as well. Now have a look on the website, because we do have your lamps there available. These have been really popular in previous shows. We've got those 3 new pairs of scissors from Janome, remember. We do have any kind of sewing machine, a vast range of sewing machines, and just have a look for that early bird. because we have pretty much sold out of this. It's 1.5 meters by 118 wide. And we've sold hundreds of them, literally, so there's not very many of those left, so go and have a look on the website. And meanwhile, I better tidy up a bit, hadn't I? And keep on coming through with ideas as to what I'm going to do in the next hour with that fabulous fabric, and I'll see you again in a couple of minutes.
Would you like to take part in our weekly competition? If you do, then all you have to do is head to the Sewing Street fan page group on Facebook. Post your picture of your make. Myself, Debbie Shaw and John Cole Morgan love looking at all of your makes every week. We pick our favourite and announce the winner every Friday live on the show. Happy sewing and good luck.
Hello there, I'm Debbie Shaw, and I would love you to join me on the first Monday of every single month for Sewing Street Surgery. Now, this is a dedicated hour where I answer your questions, and that could be questions about techniques, it could be questions about tools, it could be questions about new products, or maybe something that you've seen that you just don't understand. There's a lot of questions about tensions on sewing machines, and there's a lot of questions about working with different weights of fabrics. So if you have a question that you'd like to ask me, the easiest way to bring a question over to us is to go to our Facebook page and post your question on there. I will collate all of those questions throughout the week. If we need any new products for you, or if we need any new demonstrations, those will all be worked on leading up to that first Monday of the month. So do join me, Debbie Shaw, on Sewing Street Surgery on the first Monday.
Hi, I'm Neil from Sewing Street. Today we're going to have a look at some electric scissors that we'll be getting in shortly. So let's get some fabric and try it. And I've stolen a few fabrics out of the box. I'm not sure whether it was the box I should be taking fabrics out of, but I just decided to take it. And I've got, just for a bit of difference, I've got a kind of pleather here, PU leather, because that's quite thick. And I've just got some normal cotton. So we'll try it on the leather first. So we'll start off going through one layer, but I think we can soon up this. And the nice thing about the scissors over a rotary cutter is, with a rotary cutter you'd use it when you're cutting in a straight line. So like a rotary cutter you can cut a nice straight line on there, but if you're doing a pattern, so if we had a paper pattern on here, the nice thing about these scissors is they can cut round corners very easily. So let's have a play with that. That's actually quite addictive. So we've got a nice wavy pattern there, and it's very, very easy. So differences between these scissors and other ones that we've seen online is these scissors have a tungsten blade, and other ones online have got an alloy blade. So the tungsten metal that these blades are made out of is very strong and they're very sharp. So they're not going to go blunt very easily, and they will cut through, you know, quite a thicker object. So another good thing about these scissors is the amount of times that the jaws open and close, and the faster they open and close, the cleaner the cut and the less likely it is to snag. So you can cut very naturally with these very quickly. You don't have to take it steady or worry about it snagging the material. It will just go through it, well, like a hot knife through butter. So I'm just going to straighten this edge. I'm going left-handed now. Here you go. So, and this is your kind of thicker PU leather. This is the blunt blade as well, don't forget. And I'm going to fold it now and find out how many layers it will go through. So first I'll fold it in half. So I'm expecting this to go through 2 layers pretty easily. So let's give that a go. Yep, obviously not very straight because I didn't hold that very straight, but 2 layers, no problem for it. And this is the blunt blade. Don't forget we've got blade A, which is a sharper blade if you need more. So let's fold the PU leather in half again. So this is 4 layers now. Still goes through 4 layers very easily. So should I go for 8 layers with the blunt blade? Well, let's give it a try. And this is the first time I've played with this, so this may work, it may not. I mean, that is quite thick. I mean, yeah, you are looking, I'd say that's a good 6mm thick of PU leather there. And it's folded and bunched at the end. So let's see if this works. And I'm relying on the fact it definitely won't cut my fingers off. Well, yeah. So even with the blunt blade, that still goes through all that, you know, very easily, like a hot knife through butter. If you were holding it properly, you could get a nice clean edge. I mean, I'm trying to do it on camera and hold it one-handed and stuff.
Shopping with us couldn't be easier. If you want to shop online, then you can head to our website, www.sewingstreet.com. It will redirect you to our sister channel Jewellery Makers landing page. Don't worry, you haven't gone to the wrong place. We're simply using their website temporarily while we're building our own web shop. Scroll down past the Watch Live part and you'll see all of the products that you will have seen on air on today's live show. You can also shop our catalogue by clicking a category, clicking a product to view closer and adding it to your basket. Once you're ready to check out, you will need to create an account, which is absolutely free to do so, but it will mean that you can check out on as many orders as you want throughout the day with still only paying one postage and packaging. If you'd prefer to speak to somebody in our UK-based customer service team, then you can do so via the free telephone line number 0800 001 4433. They will not only help you create an account, but will also help you with any of your online shopping.
Hello and welcome. We love hearing from you and we really hope that you can follow us on our social media platforms. We've got Instagram, which is @SewingStreet. We have Facebook. We've got 2 Facebook pages. One is the Sewing Street TV page and the other one is Sewing Street Fans. All 3 of these are monitored all the time by our wonderful team, and if you want to message us on air, drop us a line on either of those 3 and we'll definitely be able to answer your questions that you may have. If you post on the actual wall, we can perhaps answer there. Otherwise, message us as well. That works really, really well. Thank you so much for being involved, and it's only because of this community that we're able to bring you all these different diverse products and to be able to answer your questions that you may have. Another way you can stay in touch with us is by signing up to our newsletter. These newsletters are sent out to you very regularly and they include not only our guest profiles of upcoming guests, but also amazing shows that we've got coming up for you. And if you want to look at the amazing products before everybody else, that's the best way to do it. If you'd like to sign up and you haven't already, the link to follow is www.sewingstreet.com/sign up. You won't regret it. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Welcome back to Sewing Street. This is our last live hour of the day, and we're going to be featuring tools. We've got fabrics for you, and as we didn't have any suggestions as to what to make, I'm going to make another little bag with some of the fabrics. So we've got a demonstration for you as well. You can never have enough bags, can you? This is going to be just a little cosmetic bag. But I wanted to show you the lights that we have for you on the show, because when we've shown you these before, they have been so incredibly popular. So we managed to get some back for you. So should we start off with the big boy here? I love this one. I have a very similar on my sewing desk, and I shall tell you why. In fact, it's not as fancy as this one. As you look at it here, it's not plugged in, it's a rechargeable light. You can plug it in and use the mains, and it does have a stand with it, so it can be a standard light as well. But by having it like this, it just means that you can use your lamp wherever you want it to be, even if you don't have any power. So if you've got a summer house, and there's no power down there, then you can just take this lamp down there. You could use it in the garage. Maybe you've got a bit of work to do under the bonnet. Take it into the garage. It's rechargeable. The thing I like about it is that it has a magnifier. Because there are going to be occasions, whether it's painting your nails, if you're a jewellery maker, if you're doing some fine embroidery or parchment work or cross stitch, and your eyesight really isn't up to it, you've got a 2x magnifier there. You're going to find that really useful. Another thing I like about it, it's not switched on at the moment because I don't want to blind you, is that it is a daylight lamp, but you can alter, it should be right there actually, you can alter the different colours. So you can have a very bright daylight, you can have something that's very soft. So if you just want to illuminate your area maybe in the evening, you're not concentrating, you're not reading, you don't need the magnifier, your eyes aren't strained, then you have a warmer light here. Oh, just touched it. And it is just touch sensitive, so you can have the brightness that you like. And it's natural coloured as well. It kind of mimics the sun. That's the idea. So it's not a bright blue light when you're looking at it, but when you have a daylight lamp, not only do you have a bright lamp, I find them really relaxing on my eyes. If you're doing a lot of reading or you're squinting when you're trying to do some very fine work, then I'm not going to say it's going to correct your eyesight, but I do find it more relaxing, and I can sew for longer when I've got the right light that I'm sewing with. So completely rechargeable, so you don't have to ever plug it in to the mains if you don't want to. And again, in areas that you wouldn't normally have a light. So maybe you want to sew in the basement, maybe you're doing a bit of conversions. Last time we brought you this, we had an email from, I can't remember who, I'm afraid, just saying what a great idea for when we have power cuts. And I thought, you know, we reach for candles. Not ideal, is it? But what I also like is a light when I'm sewing. So I'm sewing here, and I've got some lovely purple fabric that I wouldn't normally do that, but you know. And let's take this away. I have mine on my sewing table at the back of the sewing machine. You've got quite a nice light on there, haven't you? And it kind of illuminates around here, around the little bit that you're sewing. When we put the light on here, let's go up to its brightest as well. Now we're going to illuminate the whole area. So I can't just see that little glow from the light up here. I can now see the whole of the area of the fabric. I like to light from the back, personally. So let's take it away and then put it down again, so that I can see exactly where I'm sewing, particularly if you're sewing with the same colour thread on your fabric as your fabric, so you can really see where you're going. But the beauty is you're not tethered. So you can have this wherever you want it to be. If you prefer the light coming from the front, you have the light at the front. If you don't have a needle threader on your sewing machine, then I can see that an awful lot clearer than just with my eyesight. So it's really useful no matter what hobby you have or where you are sewing. And remember, it's not just sewing. Maybe like my dad used to have a model railway, and he'd hand paint all of the engines and the carriages with the tiniest of paintbrushes that only had 1 or 2 bristles in them. It had to be really, really accurate. So this kind of thing for anybody that's doing small work like that or fine work is perfect. Now, £73.99. I know this was incredibly popular last time I brought it to you, certainly. It's nice and stable. It's busy on the website for this already, and remember you've got the long post as well, so it can be a standard lamp. So you can be sitting in your favourite armchair doing the crossword puzzle or a jigsaw, and this can be over your shoulder, illuminating the area that you want to, instead of relying on that wall light or the table lamp. We have another one for you. This one is a plug-in lamp, and again it's got the angled head, and it's got a bit for storage. So it's an LED lamp. So again, you're looking at a daylight type of bulb. You can see how bright that actually is. And this one is only £16.99. So on your bedside table maybe, do a little bit of reading in the evening. In fact, wherever you are. But I think certainly for sewing, this is perfect. Look, I can even illuminate my fabric from there. It's so bright. Now, it is a mains one, so it's not rechargeable. So you will be tied to a power point at somewhere or other. But it looks very, very modern, isn't it? A very trendy look. Something that you would expect to see in really modern offices with big glass windows and grey furniture. And it's only £16.99. And because it's LED, that's not going to get hot. Which is a good point. I did tell you last time, actually, a few years ago, I had, you know, the old angle poise lamps with a lampshade that was that kind of shape. It was a plastic one, so it wasn't anything special, but I had that on my desk. I have a lamp, same kind of size as this, just at the back of my monitors for my PC, so that it can light up my keyboards. So it comes around the back, and I had one of these angle poise lamps that came around the back, and it touched the side of my monitor and just melted the whole of the side of it. That could have been a disaster, couldn't it? I carried on using it, not the lamp, the PC, but this doesn't get hot, so it's ideal for that situation, or children's rooms, of course, where you don't want anything that's too hot. And it's only £16.99. If you want to order a couple, do feel free to order a couple. Now then, let's move on. I'm going to just unplug this one because I might need my iron in a second, and I've only got one socket. We have fabrics for you. And in fact, we have a complete mega bundle of Allison Glass fabrics. 12 metres of fabric in total. There's all of those for £167.49. That is huge. Look at the colours of these. They are bright and fun, rainbow colours, plainer colours. I love this collection. It's like, it's cross-stitch print. Let me open one up. So first of all, you can see how big it is. And secondly, you can have a close look at that cross-stitch. So you've got 112 centimetres wide, and these are ½ metre in length each. But so detailed. It's bugs, isn't it? Oh, there's flowers. There's flowers and bugs, but they're not obvious. So you've got a fly there, look, or a butterfly, or a bug. It's clever, isn't it? Clever. Oh, look at the birds there. So there's lots to look at, and there's lots of colours as well. So we'll take you through really quickly. What you're gonna, oh, it's nice quality as well. So, is it going to be quilting? Are you just building up your stash? Are you making, I don't know, a rainbow quilt? This would be amazing for a rainbow quilt. We have the cerise. We have tangerine. Midnight. I'm calling these all the wrong ones. That's pepper. That's grey. Grasshopper? Oh, grasshopper. I was going to say grasshoppers aren't that colour. Then do we have these individually as well? Oh, okay, so we need the proper names for them, don't we? You can order individual. This is Lynchin. Why? Why? This is Dahlia. The blue one is Opal. And then Mermaid. Pencil. I don't know why. And finally is Unicorn. I see no unicorns. There we go. There's one. Whatever. Okay, so here you've got the same kind of design as the cross stitch, but you can really see the outlines there. So there's your moth, look. We've got flowers and stars. This one's called Pumpkin. You've got the dove there as well. Then we have cloud, olive, strawberry, it's pink, hydrangea, this one is turtle, 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 turtle. This one is yarrow. What does that mean? Yarrow, 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 yarrow. And this is lace. Oh, and then there's this one. And this one is called jam. What kind of jam is that? All available individually on the website. Okay, go on, hit me with this one. Chartreuse, okay. Poppy, yeah, a bit more sensible there. This one is, it's kind of a bluey, inky kind of colour. Hydrangea. Grasshopper. Penny. And this is shadow. A bit more sensible, aren't they? But you know, for £167.49, you've got an awful lot of fabric, let alone the silly names. At least they're not written on the fabric. But aren't they fun? And you know, it's Allison Glass fabric, so you've got a really good quality fabric there as well. And they all go so well together. What I like is that in the bundle you have some whites, albeit lace and unicorn, but you do have the whites in there. which kind of break them up. They act as your blender, so you don't need to go and buy anything else. And they're good solid colours as well. I mean, just have a look on those, just all of the details, because there's so much on here. It's quite a... Oh, we have bugs and birds and cupcakes and wind chimes, and there's a galleon, starfish, daisies, a seahorse. I like the moth, actually. I think I'd like to see that coloured. But then you've got a pair of scissors and a lighthouse. There is something very different. Oh, there's a turtle on there as well. And the moon. And what else? There's a rabbit. There's a couple of rabbits down the bottom here too. And a bunch of flowers. Little poppies there, look. Lorraine's guessed what's happening on July the 6th. Yes, it is my birthday show on July the 6th. It's actually my birthday on July the 4th. But I'm not coming in on my birthday. And I'm not coming in the day after either, because I'm not getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning the day after my birthday. I shall hopefully be full of champagne. So we're having a birthday show on July the 6th. And then I mean, it's your birthday show, and then you don't mind doing 5 live hours, do you, Debbie? No? We'll have some new kits as well. Oh, and I'll tell you what else we've got. Shall I tell you? We've got some new panels coming up. I'm a collector of a few different things, and one of the things that I collect is Victorian cow creamers, which when you see it, you'll be... I think you're going to love it. But it's a collection of kitchen panels based on my collection of Victorian cow creamers. So yes, so that's launching on the 6th. I know not what time. Okay, so that's your mega bundle. That's £167.49. They are available individually, so have a look on our website on sewingstreet.com. The only one that isn't available individually is the Liberty. We're calling that one Blue Liberty. That's not available on its own, but all of the others are. There, that's all that lot. Okay. Is that on the floor? Not quite. We've got, oh, is this what's in here? A Tula Pink designer honor. These are 2.5-inch wide strips, and there are 40 pieces in total. Tula Pink, renowned for bright, bold, fun fabrics. And we've got a bag of bits just to show you. These haven't been put away very tidily. I blame John for that. I always blame John for everything. Poor John. I haven't seen him for weeks. Months even. Just to give you an idea, I'm not going to go through all of them because there's 40, but an idea of the collection that you have. I might use some of these. That's unusual, isn't it? These are lovely. Oh, I like that one. Oh, I like the scissors. Oh, and rotaries. These are actually Tula Pink's actual her own notions, her own haberdasheries. So it's like an insight into her sewing world. Is that a foot pedal? I think the rest of it must have had the sewing machine on there. Little safety pins. What a good idea. See, if you had an insight into my sewing room and put it on fabric, it would be full of cats and dogs. Endless cups of black coffee. Lovely colours though, aren't we? What a nice idea. It's nice to be personal as well, like that. I like that one. 40 pieces in total for £34.99. And design rolls like this, you're going to be using them certainly for quilting, for binding maybe, 87p a piece. You could join them together and make some crazy binding, not around a curve because it's not cut on the bias, of course. You could be making a jelly roll quilt with it. You could do a little bit of Bargello for £34.99. There's a lot there, isn't it? I might pinch a little bit of that. We've still got some Lewis and Irene's for you. So we're going to start with hedgehogs on cream. I thought I'd found a baby hedgehog yesterday. I was out walking the dog and she went sniffing into the hedgerow and there was something very small and very brown there. And it was a baby sparrow. It was tiny because I picked it up and it was in my hand like this. It was a tiny little thing chirping away. So I went on the RSPB's website while I was there and they said that the parents would never abandon a baby, so put it back where you got it from. So I did as I was told. It was a tiny, tiny little thing. It was gorgeous. Anyway, this is it's not a sparrow, it's hedgehogs. Just sprung to mind what I thought it was. Look at the little feet there. £4.99 is your price for this, and that's half a metre, and it is 112 centimetres wide. There's lots of detail on there. You can see all of the spines, and look, there's that sleeping. Oh, I like that one. Look at him. So what? You woke me up. They're gorgeous. So that's a good price, and it's Lewis and Irene, so you know you have quality fabric there as well. For £4.99. That's cream. We have the same print on grey. £4.99 again. And then they go well together. All of the hedgehogs do, I think. So that's your grey. And we have a lavender too. It's really nice quality. You know, when you pick up a fabric and you just think, well, that's nice. It feels smooth, but it's got a very tight weave, so you've got a nice sheen to it as well. And again, that's £4.99. We also have, these are Lewis and Irene as well. These are cocktail parties. So we've got the grey. There's checks on each one of those pins as well. It's quite retro, I think, this one, isn't it? It reminds me of the 1960s. I know them well. And again, that's £4.99. Waistcoat lining. In fact, I think the waistcoat would look nice in that. Because these are all by the half metre, that means that if you wanted to order a metre in one length, order 2 units, it'll come in 1 length. If you need a couple of metres, maybe you want to make a shirt, then order 4 units and you will get a 2 metre length. So that it all comes joined together if you order more than one. So there's the grey. Then we have the blue. That's like a really deep indigo denim blue. Calling it violet for £4.99 again. And then finally here is the lemon. That's a retro colour, isn't it? And again, it's £4.99. Let's give you a reminder of our early bird. We had words. It's amazing the power we have in the studio, you know, particularly on a Sunday when nobody's in the office, because we see we phone people at home. We've actually phoned the head of TV at home. She was still in her pyjamas. This was about 10 minutes ago. It's disgraceful. And we said I have chopped into this. We said the early bird has just about sold out and there's lots of people still trying to order it. Is there anything we can do, Hayley? Is there anything we can do? And she said, all right then. I think it's because she was still half asleep. But she said, all right, how much do you want? Oh, she said. And we said, well, can we have 100? And she said, all right then. So when she recovers in about an hour's time, thinks, so I did something this morning, didn't I? Did something I shouldn't have done. Oh, yes. I've put another 100 early birds on the show. Only glad she did. If you weren't watching earlier on, this is an Osnabruck natural unbleached cotton at only £6.50, not per metre, but for 1.5 metres. This isn't available by the half metre, so they are pre-cut lengths. But it's a soft one. It's not like calico, which can be very stiff, very difficult to work with and difficult to get the creases out of. So although this is the kind of price point that I would use for a toile when I'm dressmaking, it's also a very affordable way of lining bags. Let me show you the apron I started making earlier on. Perfect for aprons. It's nowhere near finished yet, but I made that in the 8 o'clock show this morning. It's ever so messy down here. with a contrasting pocket on the front. You'd easily be able to make 2 full-size aprons out of this piece, and probably more, depending on your size. Half aprons like that, you could probably make 6 of those. I'm going to line this, so it'd only make 3. But it's a lovely fabric to work with. I've got glue all over that. Where's that come from? Be amazed. We've got a whole workshop going on down here. But only £6.50. So don't just think about this as something that you use for throwaway items like toiles or practice pieces, although of course you can do because of the price, but it's of a quality. You can see the drape. You don't get that with a calico normally. Have I got calico with me? I've normally got a bag of everything down here. Calico can be really stiff, and this isn't. It's got a really nice soft drape. So if you are bag making, or if you wanted to make a shirt out of it, I think it's too flimsy for skirts and trousers, but shirts and blouses, absolutely, you could make with that. Because it's sometimes with these type of fabrics, they have a very loose weave, which means that they can twist, and this isn't. It's got quite a tight weave. It's full of little brown flecks when you get it home, and those are actually part of the cottonseed pods. And natural and unbleached, but if you wanted to colour it, you could easily dye that as well, because it's 100% cotton. £6.50 for that. Should we make a bag? Should we make a bag? Now, can I use any fabric I want to? I've got 12 metres of fabric here. I can use. That's 24 different pieces. I'm going to go for that grey, because I like that, and then maybe a pale. Oh, I'm going to go. No, I'm not. I want a purpley one to go with that one. This one's called pepper. Must be black pepper. Shall we have a lime green? Oh no, because I've got a zip, haven't I? I need something to match the zip. So yeah, we're going to go lime green. So that's the only zip I've got. I'm just going to make a little makeup bag. Imagine how many makeup bags you can make with that lot. A few hundred. Right. So if we're going to do some maths. If we've got 24 pieces, and from each piece, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you could make 6 linings and 6 outers. So if we've got 24 pieces, that would mean 12 bags. So now 2, 4, 6. So we'd need 2 pieces to make 6 bags. So if we need 2 pieces to make 6 bags, how many bags can we make from 24 pieces? Which brings it down to 12 metres. So 12 times 6 is 72 bags. What's 72 times 5? That's £360. So if you sold these for £5 each, what's £360 take away £167.49? You are making £192.51 profit. There you go. I was asking the universe there, by the way, if you wondered who I was talking to. Universe always answers. I'm chopping off these selvages because they're pretty useless. It's a rich cutter. Anything that we use for demonstrations here, have a look on the website. So if you've never used a rotary cutter ruler and mat before, then take a look. We've got lots of sizes. I found the most useful size as a 45mm, and I use an Alpha, which are those. This is a Creative Grid ruler. That's the one that I use most of all, that size. And just go for the biggest cutting mat you can possibly fit in your sewing area. So that's a straight line at the side. I'm not making 6 bags, by the way, we'll just do the one. Let us take that off and put it there so we know which one it is. Because we have to do all of this when we're finished, you know. We'll be finished at the end of this hour, so we've got half an hour. And then the 3 of us will be packing everything away. That's why we're so good at folding. 2 metres apart from each other. There'll be a lot of catch this then. Okay, that's that. And if we're going to make 6 from this one, I need that to be 1/3 of the width. So that's 18 inches, so that's 6 inches deep, is it not? Which is the width of my ruler. So just cut across there. Right. And we will have that, if that's 6 inches wide, I think about that, no, about that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 inches deep. And that will do. It's a nice little cosmetic bag. I'll also need a couple of little bits to go on the end of the zip, because this time I'm not going to have the zip disappearing into the side seams. I'm going to put some little tabs on the end. So I'll just cut a little bit off there. Still got enough for another bag there. And we'll do that first, actually. So these are going to be longer than I actually need, but we're going to cut them down to size. I'm going to chop off the end of the zip, because I don't want the stoppers on there, and chop off that end of the zip, purely because I don't want to sew through those metal bits. And then I'm going to sew the ends of the zip together, because you'll find that easier to sew it, so it's not going to open as I'm sewing. So that goes under there. We'll have a look in a minute. Oh, Ruth sent a picture in. Ruth has made these with the help of me and her best friend Linda. Oh, thank you. Oh, look at those. I like, you have to got the trim across the top of the pocket. I like that. Is that patchwork or a patchwork print? It looks like you've done a bit of patchwork there. Well done. Those are lovely. Love seeing your pictures. Just trim that down a little bit more. So here, I'm just going to sew one piece of fabric right sides to the top and one piece right sides to the bottom and sew straight across. This is massively too big, but I find it easier to cut down something that's too big than try and make something that's too small bigger. And we'll just sew straight across here. We could have a little bit of fusible fleece on this, couldn't we? Give it a bit of bump. And press that open, and then we have this. And then we'll do the same with the opposite end. So right sides together and right sides together. And sew across the end. We'll cut that down later. This is one of the reasons I like to either have oversized zips or put ends on the zip, because you can't see what's inside there, so I don't want to come off. I didn't want to hit the needle on those metal stoppers, so I've got that. Then we'll sew the outside of the bag right sides together to the zip. So move those over there. So let's just crease that. I would iron that normally. Just going to get the roll and press, just so I don't have to put the iron on. Again, these are all on the website, so that's just creasing that down. Like that. Now I have green on the outside or grey on the outside. Green or grey? Green or grey? Green. So I'm going to shut the zip over. And this needs to go right sides together with this side of the zip. Like so. Have we got any fabric glue pens? I wonder. Yes, we do. So I'm going to pop a little bit of glue along the edge of the zip. You could use quilter's tape. You could pin it and tack it, but that would take ages. And this is going to sew right sides together to here. And then I'll sew along the zip. I'm going to sew it from the zip side so I can see where I'm going, and just sew straight down the centre of the zip tape. And I'm not putting the zipper foot on because you don't always need it. So now I'm approaching that slider. I'm going to pop the needle down. Do you know, my foot pedal isn't slipping anywhere. Ankles firmly together down here. Needle down and then just wiggle the slider out of the way so we're not getting a wobbly line when we sew. And straight down to the edge. Then so we've got this, and then the opposite side of the Zip needs the second piece of fabric, so let's just crease that down there. That goes there. This goes along here. And then that goes on there. And again, I'm sewing from the zip side so I can see where I'm going. So that's not quite on the edge. There we are. And straight down the centre of the zip. Coming up to the slider again, needle down, lift the foot up, go under here, grab hold of the slider, move it out of the way, go on, and carry on. So we can pull that out. And we have that. And I'm just going to sew, oh, I didn't realise the selvage was on there. Silly me, I normally chop that off. I'm going to sew a box all the way around the outside of the zip, just to keep everything in place, keep it neat, and give it a professional look with a little bit of top stitching. So I'll trim that selvage down if it doesn't go in the seam, because we really don't want to see that. Needle down, turn around, back over here. Needle down, turn around, and back down this side. And I can just about avoid the slider there. There we go, so snip off here, snip off there. And then I'm going to trim down those extra bits on the side here. And here. Oh. And then I can cut these back down as well. It's a lot easier to sew a larger piece of fabric like this than fiddling around with tiny pieces. So that's what we have there. Then we're going to sew. Oh, I shouldn't have done that, should I? I should have put the other side of the zip on. Oh, that was a silly thing to do. I could do with an unpicker. We can get around it. Second side of the fabric should have gone onto the zip before I sewed that, but we can get around it, don't worry. I'm just going to sew really close to the edge. So I get it wrong all the time. And the funny thing is there'll be people at home saying, "You got that wrong. Shouldn't have done that at that point." That's fine, that works. Then this on this side. Everything is rectifiable. We don't have mistakes. We have learning curves. That goes right sides there. And I'm just sewing right down the edge of the zip. Just fold that in a bit more. There we go. You know, I said about machines working better with thread in. It always helps, doesn't it? So both outer and lining fabrics, right sides together, either side of the zip, and then when you open the two fabrics up, that's when you sew the box around them to hold them in place. Do as I say, not as I do. So I'm just trapping that black fabric right on the edge of the seam, so nobody will know. Like so. So that's the outside of the bag still. So we'd give that a press, and so normally that's when you top stitch around the box, and then we're going to sew the whole thing together. So right sides together, we're going to fold the two outer pieces and sew all the way around the edge. When you come to the lining, we're going to poke the zip down towards the lining. And let's see if I can enclose that selvage. See, this is what happens when you do a spur of the moment. What shall I do? With no planning at all. That goes there, that can go down there. Just over the lumpy bit. Over you go. Oh yes, that's a breeze. Down the side. I need to leave a gap in the bottom so I can turn it through. So let's just do that about there. Move that across and carry on. And down. This is the quickest project. Let's snip that. Back down the side, remember when I get to the zip I need to poke it towards the lining side. Be quite easy as well to put a little tab on the end of the zip so you can pull it open easier. Or a loop on the side so you've got a wristlet, so it could be a little clutch bag. It's a nice size bag to put things like your jewellery if you're travelling. Could put a little bit of padding in there as well to make it a bit more sturdy. So let's snip across the corners to cut down on the bulk. And then we'll turn it all the right side out. Make sure you leave the zip open. Happy Father's Day, by the way, I haven't mentioned, have I? Who's forgot the dad? Right, let's turn that through. And push that out. You could square the bottom of this as well if you wanted to. You'll have a hole in the base there that you will sew over, but I'm not going to do that now. And there you've got a nice little bag. There we go. I did sew a little bit extra on that side to disguise the selvage that I didn't quite chop off. But you've got a nice little pouch there. That needs a press. You could have put some applique on the front of there if you wanted to. The end of it has got the tab on the little fabric tab on the end, so the zip doesn't disappear inside the bag. And that's really quick and really easy to make. You could do a long thin one to keep your pens in. If you're making that size, you can make 72 from this complete bundle of those. And of course you can sell them if you want to. So even if you only sold them for £5, you'd be making almost a couple of £100 profit there. Wedding gift favours, but I'm thinking, I mean, not everybody wants to sell what they make, obviously, but this type of thing you could make longer to keep your knitting needles in, make it into a pencil case, square the base off it so you've got a nice shape to it as well, but just handy little pouches, somewhere to keep your needles and your notions and your pins and your bobbins and the like in your sewing room. You could add a loop on the side and hang them all up as well, little hangers. Your phone and your charger can go in there together. There's so much you can do besides keeping your makeup and your nail varnish and stuff like that nice and tidy too. So what are you going to make with the other 12 3/4 metres? Let me give you a reminder of what you get. You're going to get a big package with these in. So, oh no, I've mixed them all up now as well, haven't I? Oh, and the stickers are coming off. We'll never find them again. So here I used grasshopper, which is the lime green check, and I used pepper, which is the grey one. Been really busy for these as well. I'd love to know what you're going to make. When you see a huge bundle of fabric like this, what springs to mind? What do you think? Well, I'm going to make a quilt. I'm going to make, I don't know, a patchwork pair of curtains. This one is a dahlia. That's spice, paprika, oh, tiger. Okay, tiger, salmon, opal, this is mermaid, pencil, and unicorn. These are always all available for you on the website on sewingstreet.com. If you just wanted, pencil, if you just wanted pencil or you just wanted unicorn, then have a look on the website. They're Allison Glass fabrics. I think she's a daughter of Henry Glass, and they are really lovely quality of fabric. When you go onto the website, onto sewingstreet.com, underneath the video, underneath the live video, I think it's on page 3, but just keep scrolling down and they're all underneath there. Or of course you can order from my call centre, which is 0800 001 4433, and that's a UK based free call centre as well. Oh no. Oh no, I'm in trouble now. One of these doesn't have a label on it. You can see this is the same print as this, but this is just the outline, so you can see the detail on here a lot more. This one is called Pumpkin. This is Olive. Strawberry. That's a lovely colour. Let me just show you again the patterns that are on here. It's really interesting fabric, if that makes sense, because you see something different every time you look at it. This one's actually called Penny. So we've got lots of flowers on this one, flowers and leaves and a little bit of cross stitch. So that ties the whole range in together, doesn't it, by having the cross stitch on there. This is Liberty. This isn't available individually. This is Grasshopper. That's Penny. That's the chartreuse, not Penny. That one's Penny. And then we have Shadow. That's a nice colour. I think those two go nicely together. In fact, I love all the greys. I love the bright colours, but greys together look really classy, methinks. So this one is Cloud. And this one doesn't have the cross stitch, but you've got the same outline. There's so many different designs on here, from butterflies and paint palettes and a packet of pills. Then we've got moths and ladybirds. It's a real mixture. There's even a rainbow and clouds and arrows and aeroplanes. Little birds on stars, pair of scissors. That's a bug look with like a heart-shaped wings. Imagine how many bags you can make from all of those. We have Olive. We have Strawberry. Hydrangea. That's Turtle. Yarrow, yarrow. That's Lace. And then Jam. 12 metres in total. There are 112 centimetres wide. So you're getting 24 pieces of fabric, each of that size. This one's Jam. Blueberry Jam, damson jam. No, damson jam's redder, isn't it? I don't know why it's jam. No, don't know why it's jam. So it's all of this. Seriously, wouldn't it make an amazing quilt? All of these bright, bold colours. And it would be a pretty large one as well. Pretty large quilt for that one. Now then, I've been using the Creative Grids rule. I'm just going to see if we've got any more messages on Facebook, maybe. Any questions? We've got sewing surgery coming up on the 6th of July, remember, so if you have got any questions that you'd like to ask, post them on Facebook, and we gather all of the questions over the next couple of weeks and bring in any products that we need to demonstrate the answers to everything. So I'll be going through some different types of fabrics, as I think it was Sarah asked on Facebook yesterday. But if you've got any specific questions or you want anything on your sewing machine demonstrating that you don't understand, maybe you've got problems with nesting under the needle and that kind of thing, then send in your questions whenever you want to, and we'll gather them all together for the 6th of July, and that's normally at 9 o'clock in the morning. Right, we've got some rulers for you here. The size that I use most of all is this one, which is it's actually 6.5 by 24.5 inches. And the reason being, I cut a lot of fabric off the bolt. So if you have fabric on a bolt or you're buying wider pieces of fabric, when you fold in half, or as it comes off the bolt, so there's your selvage, the ruler will go all the way across it, and I can still sew on my cutting mat underneath there, the guide, so I can cut. So I find that easier to use. It's great for quilting, but I do a lot of bag making and even dressmaking. If I'm cutting around a pattern that has a straight side, I'll use my ruler, I'll use my cutting mat, and I'll use my rotary cutter as well. With creative grids, you can see like these dotty shadows, I don't know if you can there, those are grippy. So it's a non-slip ruler, which is really important, particularly if you're a little bit nervous about using a rotary cutter, because the last thing that you want is to be slipping around all over the place. We've got markings in black and in white, so they'll stand out on any colour of fabric. And the clever thing is, on the one side you have inches, and on the other side you have half inches. So if you're measuring 2.5 inch strips, you go to 2.5 inches. You don't have to work out where the halfway mark is. So that's a great idea if you're a patchworker or quilter. That's £23.99, paid over 30 for mine. I'd pay it again, I think it's well worth it. With Creative Grids rulers as well, you'll have a QR code. So if you download a QR scanner onto your smartphone or your tablet, make sure it's for free, hover over the code and it'll take you to a video on YouTube of the rulers being demonstrated. Some of them have got projects on there as well. If you don't have a QR scanner, then you can just go to YouTube. All of the demonstrations are on YouTube. Some of your phones, you won't have to download a scanner. When you hover your camera over the top, it'll automatically pick it up. Depends how market your camera is. I won't do that. This one is a 6.5 inch square. So this is great if you are half square triangles. For squaring off smaller blocks, if you've got a 6-inch block, then you can literally just go around the outside and cut it. It's as simple as that. But you do have the halfway mark straight along the centre there. So if you are trimming down half square triangle blocks, you're going to simply lay this across the seam in the centre and trim to the size that you need. And again, you've got your video there. So I mean, have a look on YouTube anyway. You don't have to purchase anything to see the information and the tutorials about the rulers. That one is £14.99. And then if you have bigger blocks, or this is great for 12-inch square pillowcases, cushion covers, or of course for cutting out anything square to do with bags, or if you've got huge half square triangles, the 45-degree mark down the centre means that you can also line it up for cutting bias binding if you wish. And you've got your video there as well. And the nice solid acrylic rulers too. Takes a long time to damage these. £23.99 is your price for this one. And that's 12.5 inches square. If you wanted 12 inches, just move this along. So you cut smaller. It's really simple and really easy to use. Let me show you as well, while we're here, just bear with me a second. Oh, that's heavy. We have, we'll have a big table in our new studio. We're going to have a conservatory so we can sit outside when it's a sunny day. Sewing machine bag. A lot of sewing machines, even some of the ones that we bring you, will come with a plastic cover. I don't like them. So normally one of the first projects I'd recommend that you make is a cover for your sewing machine. But this isn't a cover, it's a bag that will easily fit in any size of sewing machine, not the big 720s, that would be a squeeze, but most of your sewing machines are going to fit in here. It's going to keep your sewing machine dust free, but it's easy to carry as well. We don't all have the luxury of a dedicated sewing area, so if you do need to store your machine, this is going to help to protect it, it'll help keep it dust free, and you've got a pocket on the front as well. I keep anything that might scratch my sewing machine in the pocket at the front. So my foot pedal will go in here. If I've got scissors, those will go in here, because if it does rattle around, I don't want anything scratching my machine. But you've got a nice deep size here. It's got feet on the bottom to protect it, and the straps go all the way around to the bottom. So you've got a lot of support there. And these straps are made out of nylon. They're like seatbelt straps, so they're really, really strong. So I think it's important to at least cover your sewing machine. But you know, for £12.99, you could barely buy a dust cover for a sewing machine, or make one, for instance, for that much. And it's just a useful bag, actually, isn't it? It could be your overnight bag. It could be your fabric stash bag. Your overlocker's not quite going to go in there, but your sewing machine certainly will. So this is our little 570, but you've still got plenty of room there as well. So you could keep patterns in there as well as your sewing machine. You know, when we can go to workshops again and you need to take your own machine with you, keep your fabric around there to keep it nice and padded, and you'll be able to fit most of what you need inside there. Still loads of room. Look at that. Still all that amount of room. So there's a pocket at the front. So it's just really useful. Makes a nice gift idea as well for somebody that sews, because it's difficult to choose fabric for a sewer, because we've got our own choices, and they've probably got the tools that they need, but they won't necessarily have a bag. And even if they have, you can never have more than one. Never have too many bags, can you, of any description, even if you just use it for storage. You've got the soft grip handle there as well, so that wraps around that like that, which makes it easier to carry. And it's only £12.99. Let me give you a reminder of our early bird, because we've got some back for you. Thank you, Hayley, for sorting that out. But not a lot. It's really busy for that. You will have three times the amount of this. There's 1.5 meters by 112 centimetres wide. There's an awful lot of fabric for bag linings, for toiles, for making aprons, for making tool rolls, for making cushion covers for the garden, or a table runner or a tablecloth. I like that rustic kind of natural organic look that fabrics like this have, but it mixes so well with contradictions of textures of fabrics as well. So there's no reason why you can't mix a quilting cotton with your Osnabruck. It's a natural, unbleached, undyed fabric that has more of a drape than calico would do. It has a tighter weave, so you can actually use this for projects, not just for throwaway or practice items. Why not free motion embroidery on it? Why not make some bunting to go around your garden? You can make reams and reams of it with the bias binding to go with it as well. That'd be nice, actually, wouldn't it? You could put some initials or letters on it. I have chopped into this because I was making my apron. If you're making bunting, I'd leave it to fray a little bit around the edge, and maybe even tie it up with string, because that's that natural kind of look. It goes really well with strings. But for £6.50, you're getting 1.5 meters, and it is pre-cut, so you're not going to make a huge pair of curtains out of it. You'd have to join it together. But look at the drape. You don't expect that from natural fabrics like this. They're normally very stiff and they're very difficult to iron, because this is basically stopping the process of fabric like this halfway through, before it's bleached, before it's treated with any kind of chemicals or anything like that, before it's coloured. So it's very natural, and it gets 100% cotton as well. But that's almost a back in stock within the morning, so it'll probably sell out just after the show. Now I shall see you again bright and early tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. With a book launch, Sensational Quilts for Scrap Lovers. Do you know we've even got scraps for you? They're not my leftover scraps, by the way. We have electric scissors. You may have seen the promo that Neil's been doing. So that's launching at 8:30 tomorrow morning. He's not allowed in the studio because he's been cutting everything, from Hayley's hair to other Hayley's mouse mat, and doesn't cut your fingers though. At 9 o'clock, it's my reversible bag pattern and fabric bundles. At 10 o'clock, we're bag making with fabric and inspiration. And then at 11 o'clock, we go into the repeat shows, which is sewing room tools and Debbie's beach hut hanger. I've got a feeling that should change because we haven't got any left. Otherwise, you've just got a nice little demonstration show coming up tomorrow. I'm not in charge of that kind of thing. I'm just there to do a bit of sewing. So thank you for all of your comments and your questions on Facebook and the emails we've had today. I've had a lovely morning. I hope you have too. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.